what The Rock is cooking.
Recording live from three locations. This is Pass the Rock. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by two great men, Caesar, aka LCs,
Mihoy.
and Jacob, aka Bethke.
What just happened right there?
I think it was it Doodle Bob?
That was Doodle Bob.
But did it not come across weird on the speakers? Or am I just did that?
I heard an echo in my ear. Yeah.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't
As
know.
long as that
I
I
guess I missed
didn't, it
that.
felt like something more sinister. Every podcast though, that we've done basically starts with some sort of divine intervention from an alien. It's like they shouldn't be saying these things.
Or they should.
If you believe in aliens running the world, then perhaps they're starting to try to fix the curve on podcasts. Who knows?
Well,
Maybe.
the numbers reflect that they might be keeping us away from people. Obviously, a lot happening every week. This is a weird time of year with just baseball and football training camps, you know. But we did have the Olympics this year. We're going to fire off a few things here and there before we get to that. First, the biggest thing that happened in baseball this week.
That's not funny. Don't laugh at that. It's not funny.
It's only funny that it happened in the city that it happened in the stadium that it happened in.
And that the
It's very
jersey
on
sales
brand.
are going up.
You know,
Was that
It's so on
confirmed,
brand.
or are we just running with jokes
I
now?
don't know. I didn't
Oh.
look into any of that. I know that they're probably the least likely to be upset by it. I'll say it that way. I just thought that was interesting. You know, everyone's talking about it. Whatever. He got his 2-game suspension or whatever, and that'll be that.
got a stern
Didn't-
talking to from the mayor, probably.
Didn't affect their baseball team at all.
No, I would assume the very next day his own teammates were calling him that word, probably.
Yeah, and is it weird that or just that he's playing the team that doesn't do gay the LGBTQ nights?
No pride nights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty on brand, man.
Anyways, next quick hit. Another baseball note. The Anthony
Yeah, we would
Rendon.
just brush past that one.
We're doing quick hits right now. The Anthony
Fair enough.
Rendon black hole. So for anyone who doesn't know, Anthony Rendon is a guy who gets paid to play baseball, or at least paid to wear jerseys sometimes. He doesn't play a lot. He was really good, but he doesn't really like baseball. He said as much out loud. He doesn't really
Respect.
care too much. But people were looking at since he got moved, or I can't remember, did he get traded? No, he signed as a free agent with the
Yeah,
Angels.
no, he won with the Nats and dip,
Yeah,
right?
he played with the Nats for a while and then left to go play with the Angels. And in that time,
No, he got a ring and then made off with the bat. You have to tell the proper history.
yeah, for sure, he basically did what Josh Hamilton did, just with an actual ring, but probably got less. Well, maybe he might have gotten more money. I don't know. I don't know the contract, but anyways, since that time, which was 2019. The Nationals have either used 19 or 20 third basemen in his absence. I've seen both numbers. Now I'm a little confused. I didn't do all the research myself.
They're both big numbers.
Yeah, and the even more interesting note here, because obviously it's hard to replace an all-star third baseman and everything. But the Angels, who signed Rendon, have used 28 third basemen in that time.
Jesus.
Um,
They're like the Cleveland Browns quarterbacks.
And look, yeah, I mean, that's something that happens in baseball a lot, but it's always funny when it happens to the Angels because it keeps happening to the Angels. So,
Yeah, honestly, I miss hating the Angels with like real vigor.
yeah,
There's not-
because now
it's-
you're
it's-
just kind of like, huh, sorry, guys.
Honestly, once we get into like projecting the season, it's one of my little hopes about the Giants and the Commanders is that like at least make this fun
Get
again.
some pushback. Usually, at least in the NFL, you get one of your two division games is a pretty good game, I feel like, every year. Or at least a close one. Maybe not a good one. But that's the Anthony Rendon black hole. My last little quick note here. Oh shoot, I forgot to pull this one up. One second, I'm so sorry. We're vamping. This is vamping.
Good thing this isn't live radio.
This is Brad.
Brad. Brat. Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah. I at least am okay with myself that I got the concept. Well, we're not going to show this. So we're not going to talk about this one too much. But they did release the. I don't know if y'all remember the video from when the Stars lost the cup to the Lightning a couple years ago. The video in the locker room after of the Stars. Well, they released the one from the Oilers this year, and it's pretty much just as painful to watch, even though I don't like that team at all. I don't really know why they put those out. But in man, I'm trying to remember which league this was.
Yeah, I looked up Hockey Experiment and things got weird, and I had to log off the internet.
So yeah, in some of the other leagues that aren't the NHL, they're trying this new kind of I guess I don't know what I guess it's a rule to encourage offense and offensive movement, more shots on net and stuff, where players wouldn't be allowed to take the puck back into their own zone once they've cleared it, at least in overtime, I believe, is the idea. So that, you're not just constantly circling back, that you're actually forced to either go forward or give the puck up. It's an interesting thought. They haven't done a whole lot to change hockey in our lifetime. They did the weird behind the net zone that the goalie can't use anymore in the corners, which was all because of one goalie. I think they could probably get rid of that and be just fine. But anyways, the 2-line pass, actually, that was a huge deal. When we were kids, they used to have this thing, a foul, I guess, called the 2-line pass, where you weren't allowed to pass the puck over 2 lines to anyone else. So you couldn't pass it from your zone over center or from your half of the neutral ice into your zone offensively. And that was mucking things up because passes had to be smaller, just a different game. Now they're allowed to stretch and open up some stuff.
See.
So, with baseball changing some stuff up recently, the NFL is doing the new kickoff rule. I think maybe hockey's trying to get in the mix, and the NBA is like, there's not a lot we can do.
They're not. Yeah, they're going to continue.
What they
to
need to
tweak
do
things,
is
but
come
there's
up
not
with
much.
TikTok hot zones, where all the fans on TikTok vote for a spot on the floor, and if the player hits from there at the right time, they get like 25 points.
No, I think the only thing that we could maybe address is like the FIBA stuff, but I don't think they want to do the FIBA rim rule in the NBA.
What is that? Is it like a more double rim type thing, or?
No, it's where you can knock the ball off the rim.
Oh,
if it's
right.
sitting in
Yeah.
certain-
I like it. Let's bring that into the NBA. Actually, let's do that immediately. I vote for that right now.
Honestly, I go back and forth. I think ultimately
Well, I mean,
the NBA
I'm
is right. We
obviously-
can't let our people do it.
I'm
It's
obviously
too big and too fast. and
very
too strong.
biased and selfish for that because I've got the one
Yeah.
guy who would most take advantage of that.
I mean, but it's not even just like Wembanyama. I mean, it would be,
a lot of guys.
it
Can
would
get, a
be
lot of guys can get up there.
so-
Almost everyone can get up there, really. To
It
some
would definitely
extent,
radically change the game. Yeah.
with their hand
yeah.
at least.
Like even like little fuckers like Alex Caruso.
That's what.
just
Yeah,
getting
like
up there.
you don't even have to be able to dunk. You just need to be able to get your hand up there.
Yeah. It would be interesting, but ultimately, yeah, I don't think there's any radical changes coming to basketball, at least not in the terms of rules.
And the last little thing, I meant to just start with this before we even hit the quick notes. I just wanted to show y'all this video.
It has that one song Jay-Z's in. It's like, concrete jungle, wet dream tomato, about New York.
Wet dreams are made of what?
What?
She said concrete jungle, wet dream tomato. Which, if you go back and listen now that you've heard those words, you're gonna be like, huh, okay. But
I like how she says it's the Jay-Z song, but that part
dude,
was so
yeah,
interesting.
Yep, technically.
yeah, not exactly the most musically.
She looks like she's younger than that song was released.
Yes.
So I'm gonna assume that's
That's your Hawk Tua girl on.
Oh, that is?
She was on the Bill Maher show, but yeah. Anyways, just thought that was funny. One more time, just for fun.
Absolutely wild.
Besides that one song Jay-Z's in, it's like concrete jungle, wet dream tomato. You know about New York.
That girl is a certified hillbilly.
All right.
Hilarious.
Became famous because she spits on that thing.
Speaking of, I'm excited to talk about another country's hillbillies. So, are we ready? Are we going?
Yeah, it's I meant to make a new one of these and I forgot, so we'll just go with the fast version.
Pass through the Olympics from Paris.
Okay, short. The Olympics. I don't
It gets
have.
shorter every
I
week.
really, honestly, I kind of bailed out on most of the Olympics in the last week, outside of the basketball. I did pull up the final almost medalist numbers.
Good, good. The people are waiting. This is
Yeah,
the
we need to
premier
know who the
pod
biggest
breaking
losers
down.
were.
So
There is no other pod breaking down
depending,
this particular part of the
obviously,
The anti-winners.
obviously with medal count, there's a couple ways to look at it. So if you want to look at who got the most fourth place, it's Italy at 25, USA comes in at 21, Great Britain at 20, France 19, and then it gets, after that.
It's wicked.
And then the real kicker, though, is if you look at fifth and sixth, where the U.S. dominate with 27 fifth place finishes and 17 sixth place finishes. Only one country has higher in either of those, basically. So that would be Germany got 22 third or sixth place. So even with USA, sweeping the gold and the full medal count on the regular bracket, they basically essentially did the same thing here, just didn't cap fourth place themselves.
It's crazy because we're going
or
to host in 2028,
sixth.
and we may do the worst U.S. performance of all time potentially.
If you watch that, if you watch that Pablo Torre, I'm sure you come away thinking something like that. I don't know if you saw any of that, but
It's not just
I-
Pablo though.
wait.
There's a lot of things seem like they're not heading in a good trajectory for 2028.
I need y'all to put me on game because I have no idea what you're referring to. in
what
this
I'm
one.
talking about is probably more of a long-term thing with
Yeah, it could
with
impact later on.
the amount of money that funds the U.S. other sports through the Olympics. Basically, it comes from the NCAA type stuff, which means colleges. But now colleges are starting to pay the football players whose money was previously paying for other things. So the question becomes, what
Instead
happens?
of people that
What
are
happens
taking
to
should
swimming
be taking pay
scholarships,
cuts.
diving scholarships? Yeah, track and field. It gets
There should
interesting.
be people sitting in desk chairs all day that took massive pay cuts to let these kinds of, maybe some cases there will be budgets that change and save some of these storied programs and keep something alive. But it's pretty gloomy.
But another medal count that I thought was interesting, brought to us by a Texas beer company that if they pay us, I'll say their name. But they've sent out this post showing the full medal count with all the countries. But placing fifth would be Texas with 18 golds, 15 silvers, and 11 bronzes.
Hell yeah.
So we can be...
Who
What's the
counts
word?
in that? So we're getting if the
I'm
The women's
assuming
team has
born in...
Hmm?
I'm assuming born in Texas.
But this doesn't include team sports, right? It's just individual athletes.
Yeah, they're probably stretching it with team sports, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably
would.
so. I was also trying to think if there's even a Texas-born USA basketball player on either side. There's got to be one, but I don't
You're
know.
telling
who it
me
is
Kevin
offhand.
Durant wasn't originally from Austin, Texas?
No, not Kevin Durant.
We'll do
He is
one.
DMV through and through.
We'll do one quick look just to see if anyone surprises us as being from Texas in the 5x5. Or
I mean,
whatever you
obviously
wanna call
Simone
it.
Biles would have been a big contributor to this. I know we had plenty of DFW people. I know one person was like a shot putter. I think there was a shooter.
None of the
Shikari, obviously
none of
Dallas.
the players. You think Eric Spoelstra was born in Texas? Steve Kerr wasn't even born in this country. Don't know how he's allowed to be a coach. He might
Hey,
have
bro,
been.
his
Actually,
dad,
he might.
his
he
dad
born in
was
this? Was he
assassinated
born in this
in a
country
fucking
first?
government.
I know.
bit,
I'm just kidding. Obviously.
That's as American as it gets, bro.
Was he born in this country or was he born over there.
Well, he's a
thought
military brat, so it doesn't matter. He's like Kyrie Irving.
I know, but I was trying to remember if he was born here.
No,
Then they
that's
went
not
over
Kyrie,
there when he
actually.
was a kid, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think that might be all I have on Olympics. I should also mention today's the worst day in Twitter of the year because it was just all NFL camp highlights from all the beat writers from every team.
Well, no, we're not done with the Olympics. I definitely have one point
Oh,
that
go. Yes, please.
must be talked about. I didn't get footage because obviously we can't even play Olympic footage on YouTube.
No, that'll get an
They're gonna
immediate lockdown. Pretty
beat the
much.
fuck out of us.
I
But the
think for-
ray gun saga continues.
Oh God, no.
Oh yeah, I read an update on this.
The ray gun saga continues. The breakdancing, it took everybody by storm. I was so proud to see.
Breaking.
Yeah, breaking. I was proud to see Eric B and Rakim played in the Olympics in Paris. That's something about that was beautiful. Snoop Dogg being there, it was a beautiful ceremony. It was fun to see all of these different cultures. But the first visual most people saw, and only visual most people saw, was this ray gun girl who was awful and by no means represented the rest of the field.
Let me pause you real quick just to tell you, I didn't know for like a week after I saw it that that's what I was watching.
Yeah.
I never got I would only see the jokes. I never got context of what this person was attempting to do. So I had no idea that was from the Olympic breaking. I just thought it was someone who I had no idea, honestly.
We were baffled.
It was a goalie when the puck's behind them. It was I'm trying to remember all the funny jokes, but that's how far away from what she was supposed to be doing it was, is that until someone told me that's what she was doing. I had no idea.
So yeah. Yes, exactly. She was quite a story from start to finish. As soon as she danced, and then we learned so much. We learned so much about this person, and it just was incredible. It never stopped being interesting, and then today it took another turn that only made it more interesting. So basically, this lady, as you're watching it live, you're being told that this was the Oceania winner, right? The Oceanic winner. So you're talking about New Zealand, Australia, blah, blah, blah. So that's how she would have qualified, allegedly. So, all right, whatever, man. I don't know New Zealand, Australian breakdancing. I don't know who's good and who's not, but this girl's clearly not up to par with the rest. She scores 0. She scores 0 points in her round.
Makes a mockery of the thing.
I guess, does Australia just not have like an Olympic committee set up like we do to like kind of keep?
No,
it does.
Keep some.
And
of the
she's
riffraff
on it.
out.
Yeah, and her husband, who's her coach.
Yeah. So there you go. It was a very interesting day that we learned that. But let's give her more paint of a picture here, because that's not talking about the fact that she has like a PhD in culture, American culture, American dancing culture. What specifically makes one have a PhD in breaking, I guess? That's a question you have to ask wherever the hell she got that degree in Australia from. But then, yeah, it's crazy because not only did this story come out that talked about how this lady was, basically fixed herself into the Olympics, but it also comes out in like names, like notable, like real people you can search up in Google that were clearly better than her. So it was pretty incredible how this went down. The Olympics is never as clean as we might like it to feel. And this is just another case of how those stories that we fall in love with in the Olympics can sometimes get a little weird when we dig a little deep into them.
All right, give me 1 second. I gotta go do something for my dog. He's still not doing well. Maybe y'all go ahead and go into basketball stuff, and I'll be right back.
All right,
Word.
that.
What?
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom, boom. Wait, do we have anything else Olympics related?
No, I don't think there would be anything else. I think it's been a pretty simple thing, other than Team USA basketball, which I guess we'll go ahead and just get started with.
All right.
So we can go ahead and knock out the ladies' games. So it was USA versus France. I mean, we've been here before, maybe allies before, but this time adversaries. For Team USA, this was a great chance for both men and women to really stake their claim as the dominant, the country that clearly still stands head and shoulders above. for the rest of the world this year looked like its first real chance to steal the thunder of the mighty Team USA. It didn't get done. Spoiler alert, if you don't know by now, there's 2 more golds in the bucket. But damn if it didn't come pretty fucking close on both sides. We'll go ahead and get started with the ladies first. And we'll set up the gold game.
And you're gonna have to really lead on this one because I'll be honest with the audience. I did not get a chance to watch most of the girls' basketball games.
Yeah, and honestly, the most annoying part is I had to go rewatch this one because I woke up to the championship game already being in the 4th quarter, and I woke up at like 9 a.m. on a Sunday. So I went and finished the whole game because I was pretty stunned to see the score. I thought they would still handle France pretty easily. So essentially, France survived Belgium. Belgium was very upstart. I don't think a lot of people had Belgium going this far, but honestly, they had some big girls. They had some talent. It didn't surprise me once I saw them play. And then, of course, they took France into overtime. France handles that. It advances to the gold game. Then U.S. clobbers Australia, right? The girls are out there. They just fucking wreck Australia. Australia is the next closest team in WNBA talent on the roster, at least active talent. So it was pretty surprising to see Team USA handle that game so easily, but this team is so talented. They've historically been so great, though, and I'll get into that. But ultimately, you know, this Team USA women's run has really been very dominant, and that's no different from most of the runs they've had in their time. It's kind of something I talked about, that there's just a big difference in the talent around the world and where our girls are at. But lo and behold, France in the title game basically had the U.S. dead to rights. And luckily, a little bench energy was, U.S. having too much talent, right, got us through is basically the story. As Caesar buffers out and dies and leaves me here to sit here without Patrick or Caesar now and just stare at you. You're with me now. I don't know what we're going to do. We're just going to sit here and we're going to try to make it better.
I don't know what the fuck happened. 1 second,
All right.
just chilling, listening to you talk, and the next thing I know, I get kicked out, and I'm like, "Are you gonna go out?" And then no, everything else is working fine.
What is happening in here?
Technical difficulties, producer.
So, yeah, bro. So hopefully everything is good with the dog, by the way.
Yes, hopefully.
But so Caesar and I were trying to get started with the basketball. We got into the setup of the gold game for the women's game, and right as I was about to explain the gold game, Caesar just fucking dropped, and I just was like, "All right, here we go." So now I'm just so now
throw on the hoopla.
here we try to survive.
Throw on the hoopla and we good. Do I have anything here for this?
Yeah, I could have just thrown the hoopla. Steph Curry, better be glad. Better be glad that we're not looking at you as a potential weirdo. Saying not yet. All right, so
It's one of them NIMBYs.
if you want to have any sort of gap or break, you could potentially do it here. But as awkward as we are, let's just keep rolling. So as I was explaining to Caesar, Belgium was an upstart team. They took France into overtime. This is the women's side. Australia is the next best team with WNBA talent from the U.S. U.S. clobbers the fuck out of them. We expect U.S. women to dominate the gold game, no problems. I wake up at 9 a.m. on Sunday morning, find out the game is already in the fourth quarter, and we end up having a game that's way tighter than I would have ever. I think it was 45-43 to start the fourth one, and that's when I woke up. Is like literally turned it on, and they're starting the fourth. But I did go back and rewatch it because I was curious as to what happened on this dominant run for the girls. A couple of things happened here. So for the French, it's notable that they have Gabby Williams and Maureen Johannes, right? Gabby Williams, not in the WNBA, only 1 year removed, had made an all-defensive team, more or less had been phased out. You have to remember it's a very tough league, so it's really not hard to get lost in a roster shakeup. She's probably going to be back in the W either this year or next year after this performance. She was crazy. Her size kept them able to at least match up with Brianna Stewart and Asia Wilson, kept France in the game that way. She knocked down 3 of 6 from deep, which when you're talking about especially a low-scoring game as this was, every point mattered. And the Maureen Johannes is essentially one of the most lethal shooters in all of basketball. They're over here having to start covering her at the beginning of as soon as she crosses half court. So obviously that changes a lot of what you're doing defensively, makes it a lot harder. So it's not like France are slouches, but again, this Team USA women's team has been very dominant. They're still very much ahead of everyone else. You wouldn't think it was going to be so tight, but it was 15-9 after the first quarter. Then it's tied at 25 at half, so absolute rock fight. Then France jumps out to a 35-25 lead to start the second half. That's when U.S. gets back in control, 45-43. France gets back in control, 53-51. And that's finally when that Team USA talent kind of takes over. Kalia Copper comes off the bench, and essentially they just run some high screens for her, and she gets downhill, and she's just faster than anybody else that France has on the court. So gets to the bucket. We'll talk about a play like that in the men's side.
Now, I gotta ask, just while we're still on the topic of the women's game, right? Now we see where the rest of the world is on the men's side, right? In terms of catching up with, with Team USA. While we're on the women's side, how much further do you think the road is from essentially catching up to the women, or do you think like they're right there, same as the men? It's only like a matter of maybe.
It's not the same. It's not the same, but it's definitely. I mean, like I said, this is closer, and honestly, so Gabby Williams ends up banking in a shot that is a 2-pointer instead of a 3 because she's just over the line, and the game ends 67-66. So she was about half a foot away from tying this game. France gets another chance to steal in overtime. France is very talented. They have a big girl that's coming up too. She's pretty young. They called her the Victor Wembanyama of the women's team. She's not quite as big, but she's a very tall girl. So France is going to be there. France is definitely going to be there. Spain's going to be there. Belgium coming out of nowhere and having like really big physical players and with some skill, like that was surprising. Australia is going to continue to produce basketball talent. So I think it's going to keep getting better, but the men are just so much closer. It's very close for the men, no doubt.
No.
The actual last continue.
Okay, go. Yeah, continue.
Well, I just wanted to let you guys know on the legacy side of this, because we'll do more legacy talk for the men's basketball side. This is the girls haven't lost a game since I was shitting diapers, right? Like that's seriously like they were in group play. This is 8 straight gold medals. This is 61 wins in a row. For Diana Taurasi, this is 6 golds, and that's the first time in that team sport. So you're talking about an incredibly dominant run for the women. And the men have been very dominant. We'll get to that. It's not, it's not the worst end of the story over here. It's not like the women's national team and the men's national team in soccer, right?
Yeah.
So this is definitely just a very incredible run for them, and shout out to France. And we'll see what it looks like in 2028. That's the worst part, though, is I think I trust the American women's talent a little bit more to get better than the world catch up. Like, you know what I mean? I think that we're starting to turn such a curve with the women in our country that we might be too talented for them to catch up with, whereas the world is Like France is just so big and talented, like as their men's team. So like they're gonna be there as long as they develop well and stay healthy.
No.
Um, but now let's get into the men, right?
Before you start off with the men, there's something that I need to play for all of us here in America. Wait,
Beautiful.
there's one more. Suck it, French.
Oh, say, can you see?
Oh, see, can you see?
The delight.
Did Chris Tucker not actually know the lyrics there?
No idea.
I love it. All right.
I have
Yeah.
another one, but I'll do it at the end or
So
put it in the intro. I don't know.
I'll start by this whole thing by saying part of me feels bad for one team in particular because France is going to be the one we spend so much time on, but Serbia was certainly
I mean,
the team.
Germany had a pretty damn good run themselves.
Germany was solid. They did. I poo-pooed Germany being competitive as the gold medal winner, as the world champions. But you know, I just thought that they weren't that good, and I was kind of right. But France essentially gave them also the path to get to get in, and they just kind of weren't good enough shooting the ball. France was awful to start this. I talked so much shit about how France was going to lean into their old guys and it was going to fuck them, and then it did. And then they barely leaned into the young guys. Like they did. They leaned into the young guys that are not in the NBA, but aren't really ever going to come back. Maybe one of them is going to come back to the NBA. And they were good. They were really good players. So props to them. I still wish they would have put Bilal Koulibaly more in instead of debuting him against Team USA for some fucking reason.
They need buckets so bad. They need buckets. That offense
Like-
is miserable.
Yeah, but you have Rick Shea, who I think may not be a great player like individually, but I think is a really good basketball player and will be like a really nice asset to especially Wembanyama. You have other young French players that are very highly touted coming up into the pipelines. It's not a woe is me moment for France. It's just what I said it was. It's their old head got them here, but they've got kind of a sour group of old farts. You know what I mean? Some guys that it's like, look, I respect what you've done for the country, but like you're not going to be what takes us past Team USA. We are going to handle it from here, boys. And I think France got to do that. And I think that switching that up was awesome. Their coach is amazing, and they did such a good job of continuing to give them because they were dead to rights. They went small, and it paid dividends. Yabusele played so well, he might be back in the NBA soon. Even though I still am kind of about what he does, and he also spiked Dante Exum into the ground and got suspended 2 years ago, which should be noted in a different league, obviously. So either way, I like France. Germany should have beat them, in my opinion. France, small ball just took Germany out of the game. The discombobulatedness of Franz Wagner and Dennis Schroeder was very noticeable. For all they're good, there's still a lot of bad there. So Schroeder, your high IQ basketball. Yeah, I mean, I do get where like the FIBA thing makes people look a little smarter, but Dennis Schroeder, you're not the guy who's going to get that message across, buddy. Let Nicola do that, except for he doesn't want to. So, too bad. So sad. Speaking of Nicola, he beat the fucking brakes off of us through 3/4 of the semifinal game. He and those crazy lanky ass white boys that do nothing but sit in some cold tundra and shoot a basketball, just staring death stares into the red, white, and blue. Everything, like they have a picture of Michael Jordan, but it's a satanic thing. Tiger Woods, it's everybody who's like on our Mount Rushmores. They've got presidents, they've got everybody there. They've got Tom Cruise, everybody's there. And all of them are just, it's all hate. They just build up. It's just like Rocky, essentially, is how I view Serbia now. Is like how The Russians were just constantly hating us, plotting to beat Rocky, to beat what's the other dude? Forgive me, Rocky fans, for my bad lore.
Ivan Dragic or whatever.
No, Drago was the one who did it. The guy who killed. Come on, Creed. Apollo Creed. Because the movies are named Creed now. Anyway, that's the way I look at Serbia, because like they really are a machine, just hell bent on destroying the USA, and they don't even care that they missed out this year because they'll be back. They're just going to keep coming. The buzzsaw's never going to.
I mean, they had their chance this year.
They had their chance. They had us dead to rights. This game was 76-63. Serbia lead going into the fourth quarter.
Whew, it was a rough one, man.
It wasn't good. It was a lot of lazy closeouts. It was a lot of going under screens. It was a lot of weird decision making that I didn't love. But of course, Team USA gets away with this because they have three of the greatest players of all time.
And they have one very important man right here.
Look at that man. America, you know him.
They do.
America.
LeBron was amazing. We'll get to LeBron. He's actually going to be my second person mentioned. I'll go through Team USA briefly and kind of highlight
the MVP second, huh?
The MVP guy. Well, I think that even though we'll get into the MVP part of this because I did do a little more research on that, or I listened to one podcast that everyone listens to and learned more on it, and I will repeat that in a bit. But I wanted to start with Kevin Durant. Now, obviously, back in the this comeback game, it was a lot of Durant, LeBron, Curry on the same court that allowed us to go to a 32-15 fourth quarter run and steal that game.
If an American Indian restaurant doesn't serve a Durant, LeBron, Curry yet, I'm gonna be upset. All right, that's my only Curry joke I'll make.
Well, the best one was definitely this Devil Curry is the Devil Curry is killing us thing. The white person going into Indian food, because like obviously my girlfriend's Indian and she doesn't do that to me. She's very kind to me. She understands my palate. But yes, when we order out, shit can get deadly for me, and I have to be careful. I have to be very careful. That shit does not play. Now here's the thing. KD, Kevin Durant. We're talking about 4-time gold. Only Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James have the same amount of golds. Does Kevin Durant go for 5 in LA? Well, his knees and back and shit are probably going to determine that more than anything.
Give him the Bird Dream Team role.
I mean, that would be cool, but again, I would like for these guys to be able to walk for a certain period of time. So, they should take that into account. He's the all-time leading scorer of Team USA. That's men and women. He's come in clutch for a lot of this stuff. We're going to get into debating and ranking the Team USA's of past, and he's going to come up big in a lot of those, obviously. But ultimately, this was just nice to have him. He was injured to start this thing, had to come in as the sixth man, a little rusty without any of the group play. And what did he do? He proceeded to shoot. And there was times where he was pissing me off with the way he was shooting. But you know what? That's why coaches don't say shit when he does that. And that's why if I was his coach, I wouldn't have said shit either. I would have been pissed off, but I would have pissed off quietly. Because eventually that shit's going to turn. And then that shit's going to turn deadly for the opponent and not you.
Slightly unrelated, but kind of related. I heard on a sports talk radio about they're throwing out the hypothetical of take Steph Curry and put him on like the 80s Celtics. So what does Red Auerbach do when he just pulls up from the logo all of a sudden? Like, does he immediately bench him or...
Well, unfortunately, that's just bad basketball history to some extent. But that's a good question as to some of the other coaches. Because it's like, yeah, that one, I don't know who there is. Honestly, you could only go back to the 2000s where Steph Curry would have been treated like that. Like, it really wasn't. Like, if he would have gone to any other team but Golden State, or if Golden State would have made decisions beyond what they made when they had him, it could have gone a different way. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think Red Auerbach probably would not have cared if it gave him a chance. I don't think Red Auerbach was as good of a tactician as people.
Well, I think
like.
it's just like just because I think they're in the finals a lot back then, so that was kind of where you just grab them. But it's like, and that's 80 is the first year of the 3-point line, so that's where we're.
And he's not the coach.
Not
He
who
actually
is it?
stops being the coach in like 1967
Okay,
or something.
I don't know. Just the concept of would any coach back then when they're like when Bird is averaging like 1 a game from the corner basically or whatever.
Yeah,
If
no.
if all of a sudden in the middle of a game, if Steph just pulls up,
no, and that's really what it is.
Does he just get immediately benched because they're just like, you don't do that?
The ABA is the only time that basketball has ever been played
Fun.
similar enough to that. Before Curry, obviously. Well, Gilbert Arenas. We should give Gilbert Arenas his love here because he defied all the code. Basically, the answer you're looking for is Gilbert Arenas.
Okay.
because Gilbert did that shit when coaches definitely didn't want you to do that, but he played for the Warriors when they sucked, and he didn't really do that there. And then he played for the Wizards, who couldn't give a shit as long as he was scoring buckets and selling tickets. So that was just kind of the way that went. Yeah, LeBron will be next. He was the MVP. I call him the quarterback/running back of this team. Obviously,
that's
assist.
a full tournament MVP, right?
Yeah, it's a tournament MVP thing. I think that makes it pretty obvious that he probably was going to be that because Team USA didn't have a lot of consistency other than LeBron in this entire
games out. Yeah,
like it was 6 games and then 5 tune-up games essentially that they did. So it was a nice chunk of basketball, and most of it, the large majority of it, involved LeBron James for them to be competent. So he was mostly quarterback LeBron, but as we saw in the South Sudan game, as we would see a lot when they were in trouble, especially against Serbia, running back LeBron got to be a part of it. And this is why I laugh whenever they're like, FIBA rules, we need FIBA rules. I'm like, you want to extend LeBron's career? Because this is how you extend LeBron's career.
Yes, I do.
Because like LeBron is literally just allowed to bulldoze his way into the lane in FIBA, and he's just running back LeBron. And it's the funniest shit.
I want him to look like Uncle Drew and still be in the NBA.
Dude, like he already did. Did you see the beard? It was so great. Yeah, so ultimately that was really funny. Of course, we'll talk about the guy who made the biggest name for himself at the end of the gold game once I get there. But Brian Windhorst did let people know that the voting was a QR code in the media room and was up like 2 days before the final.
Okay.
So if you're wondering why it was LeBron,
it's a full tournament thing also. So like, yeah, I mean,
right, but it's also like prisoner of the
no.
moment probably should have caught more people in that situation. It usually does, but it didn't, and I think this is probably why.
I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Ultimately, no one's going to remember that he was the MVP of this. I never even realized. I forget that they even do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known if it was. Yeah, if it wasn't.
I had that Excel tracker. I didn't even write down who was MVP of the priors. I never even thought about it. I don't care. So, yeah. Either way, LeBron, Kevin Durant, you did great. Obviously, there's a third guy to get to, but let's get to the other kids first. Catching Booker, True Drew, absolute impeccable performances as auxiliary players, even though they're usually, well, Drew Holiday is now obviously more of an auxiliary player day to day with the Celtics. But Devin Booker's been relied upon to do a lot for Phoenix since he got into the league. So it's really cool to see him come back into this and thrive. During the Serbia game, they went 1-2. They both went 1 for 2 from deep. In France, they both went 2 for 4. So it's not a big sample size. But the efficiency is important because there's not a lot of buckets being gotten in some of those games. The big triplets, Joel Embiid, look, it wasn't perfect, but they managed it well. He was good when he was good, and they pulled his ass when he was bad, and really that's all that mattered.
He got booed so much.
He got booed a lot. That was good for Team USA, I think, to some extent. It was a little more drama than maybe they wanted on them, but it was fine. Anthony Davis was impeccable. I think he had the highest PER of all of basketball players. And Bam Adebayo was awesome when he wasn't trying to stretch the floor. which he didn't do a lot of in the serious games and was pretty good at in the non-serious games. It was just, it was nice to have that rotation. And I thought the coaches really nailed it. And if you're going to give them shit about a lot of other stuff you can give them shit about during this, you got to give them that credit. I thought Jason Tatum and Anthony Edwards, for as much as they were talked about in different ways, Anthony Edwards was kind of the media darling of the team. Jason Tatum has been talked about ad nauseum for not being played in certain games and moments. I thought they both took their minutes deadly serious in the gold game, and that was important because Anthony Edwards really cost us a lot in the Serbia game. He was bad. He was really bad in the Serbia game. Very almost was the scapegoat of this whole thing. But at the same time, played well. And then Derek White and Tyrese Halliburton, vibe captains. Thank you for clapping. And Derek White actually played a few times, so thank you for being useful in those moments. Tyrese Halliburton got some bullshit minutes, but for the most part, his biggest moment was probably his Instagram tweet for whichever social media post where he made the joke about the group project and getting an A.
Yeah. When you do nothing.
So-
That was
on the
fantastic.
project.
And I mean, I'm sure he also sees the Jason Tatum stuff. And so it's everyone's pretty annoyed with it. In fact, the Hoop Collective, I got to walk away earlier and go help my girlfriend in the kitchen and then come back and they were still talking about the Jason Tatum thing. And that had been like 15 minutes. And I was just like, damn, it's really the off season, baby.
Yeah, nothing to talk about. Yeah.
I mean, it's so they were more putting it into the future, and I get where the future comes in, but I'm not here to talk about the future of Team USA basketball. I'm talking about the closing minutes of the gold game, the one that sealed it up for us, Stephen Curry. And boys, I'm not just going to give you nothing here. I'm not just going to give you the bullshit, the craziness. I'm going to give you the whole thing because that makes it beautiful. With Steph Curry, especially in his older age, where the defense is a little whatever. Let's start this 3:30 left in the game. Steph throws a bad turnover to LeBron. He's trying. It's just a bad communication. So whoever's fault it is doesn't matter. Ultimately, bad communication. He tosses a ball away. LeBron gets the chase down foul. France only gets a point. So, it's good. You hold up Steph next drive. Airball's a floater. Wemby gets 2 points after some bullshit. Now you got a 3-point lead. Now it's getting a little crucial. Instantly come over the next time. You're doing LeBron James, Steph Curry 2-man games. He gets a little shake and swish. The Steph Curry pump fake, wait for the guy to look like waits for the guy to realize he fucked up and then make it, follow through. The defense holds. Katie gets fouled. You're up 79 again. He gets cooked on the other end by De Cologne, former San Antonio Spur, briefly. What does he do on the other end? He hits Batum on a step back pump fake. Boom, hits it again. This time, again, Team USA. This is what's beautiful about Team USA. They're such beautiful talents, but at the same time, they're living too close to the flame a little bit at all times. Nick Batum gets an open shot. Who knows who's got this shit on it, but Batum cuts the 3 down. Curry gets to get back over there. Pumps out, gets the double team. At this point, we realize Curry's hot. They realize Curry's hot. The double team comes in. He passes it out. It kicks around. It finds him. He pumps on De Cologne. Boom, buries another one. Okay, fuck.
And
Francis,
I think this is where this came in. This image came in right here.
That was a little bit earlier. That's when he first started. Yeah, that was the second 3, I think. Not the third or fourth, which we're about to get to. Wemby eventually gets an open 3 off of an inbounds play. Team USA holds up really well defensively, but then an out-of-bounds ball ends up giving France an out-of-bounds play. And for whatever reason, Wemby's wide ass open, drills the 3. I mean, that's the thing about Team USA. No, I'm not trying to just point the blame to Curry, but Curry was, for all the great Curry did offensively in this run, it's definitely evident that it's tougher for him to compete, especially in FIBA, when these other dudes are running harder than the NBA dudes usually run. So it's definitely tough. And then that's when Curry hits the fuck you 3, the final dagger. And you know what's the most beautiful is he did it over Nick Batum and Evan Fournier, almost as it was everything I wanted it to be, guys. I talked a lot of shit. I said, fuck these specific French players. I want them to get curried. And I didn't think it was going to happen. Serbia, they got Curry, and I thought, well, fuck, that's my Curry game. Oh,
Little did you know.
little did I know, he was just saving the best for last. American sniper.
I love those just world's worst photoshops. Those are some of the best.
I think that one makes it better.
I love this image so much.
That's what I'm talking
It's so
about.
poorly done.
Yeah, the only poo-pooing I had to do is I didn't need to see the good night thing 800,000 times. That was a bit overdone.
I almost bought. So Team USA Nike has done an awful job. I just want to repeat, awful job at merchandise this year.
Not surprising.
It looks like shit, and the one shirt that everyone wants is already sold out, and you can only get the girls' side. And I'm like, why didn't you make one with the girls and the guys all in it, and then sell that one? I don't understand. Like, you can make plenty, and then there's another one that's like this really bad, weird Photoshop one, and then Curry's not even one of the top 3 guys. It's Joel, LeBron, and Durant. And you're like, no, it should be Curry, and like, what the fuck?
He's not a Nike guy.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, you're right, but I don't think Joel is either.
If he's on the Nike stuff, he's got to be, right?
So, what's it called? There is one Curry one that they did, the Team USA did, and it's the night one, but it looks like it says nut.
He's a Skechers guy, Joel
Nut,
Embiid.
nut.
Because it's night, but in French, so it's nut essentially. Or it
Nut,
looks like
nut.
Nit.
Yeah, and you know, I guess I didn't realize that was something he did before previously in his life. I don't
That's
know.
what he did to Boston when they won the title.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did that. He did that fucking absolutely batshit 3 to basically ice that series, and that really, I mean, people are hyped up about what just happened, but we should roll back the tape to 2022.
Well, yeah, it's a
when
little.
the Warriors
It's
did
a
that.
little different when the ones you're hitting are when you're up by 12 or whatever. You know, like they're cool.
It's true, but
it's nice.
dude,
'cause
that
they're
was
hot.
fucked up, bro. Boston was busting their ass to
Well, I'm
get back
saying-
in that game, and he pulled up from
Yeah.
basically half court. That
Oh.
was so goddamn disrespectful.
Yeah, no, but that last one where it just looked like he just like flicked it up with so much fucking arch on the
Yeah, that was a
wall.
classic Curry.
That was
No one else on earth should ever be able to be allowed to take that shot. And then the great is the still of LeBron and Kevin Durant just standing next to each other, wide ass open, just watching the play unfold. And it's like every other player on earth would have been so much trouble for letting that happen. But in that moment, there was no more perfect thing for it to have been done.
ISO
Dude, no.
Curry. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, and then just what I loved is watch it going on the internet and seeing the French react because they clearly don't get a lot of Stephen Curry video over there, and just they're like, "Who is this? Who is this guy?" They're all cursing his name, ruling the day that he was ever on Team USA.
I've tried to tell people he is a basketball terrorist, and I mean that with the utmost respect.
Yeah,
There is
for sure.
nothing more terrorizing that has ever touched a basketball court than Stephen Curry. It's just it's insane when he gets that level. You're not like he's shooting from crazy angles. The timing is just so quick. It cracks me up. It cracks me up so much. So Team USA did it, but now we have to finish this with legacy talk. And I have done some rankings here, and I am going to justify my rankings. I shared those with you out of context, but I'm not going to put this into too much context. Honestly, if we ever want to have anyone challenge us, we want to have a pod off of a pod where you want to debate something we've said, I'm happy to do it. This is a controversial one. I'm going to be controversial with mine.
Wait, does your number one start at the top or bottom? It's a joke.
Top, yeah.
It's a joke.
No, I see. Yeah, I guess it's fair. I mean, it was pretty tough on him. Either way,
Wonder why.
if the importance factor is the most relevant, if it's influence, if it's importance, guys, there's only one answer to the greatest basketball team ever assembled. And that is very simply the Dream Team, the 92 Dream Team. There will never be a basketball team as impactful. Fuck Naismith's old ass peach basket ass.
This is the
schoolroom
same.
teams.
This is the same thing that I try to inject in every Jordan legacy conversation. Is it's not like you're comparing the impact to the ball, and that's
But if we're talking about stacking talent, if we're talking about we're putting the greatest basketball team ever assembled together, I think you have to be more realistic when we debate what's the greatest American team, at least, right? For me, if it's you're still talking about just NBA, I'm probably still going Durant Warriors. I still don't know what you would do about that. Even if you're talking about, oh, it's thin, oh, it's this, it's that. I don't know what you do with that.
14 Spurs.
Dude, go look at the Cleveland Cavaliers 2017 and tell me that team doesn't win the title in like 40 of the other NBA seasons. Okay? I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like that was the most dominant team that's ever played basketball at the NBA. But when it comes to Team USA, I've started with the 92 team because essentially that's when the pros are back. So sorry to all the old heads who had to play when they were like college players. And I know there's some heartbreak there. I know there's some really awesome victories that people like to talk about when it was a much more competitive version, right? It's not been as competitive since 1992, understandably. It has been competitive. It was competitive this time and it will be competitive moving forward. So those people can shut up. So if anything, this is the best time for us to do this because now we've, I think, entered a new chapter of world global basketball. And here's my ranking of the 9 teams that we've seen since 1992. My number 1 is the prisoner of the moment pick, the 2024 team.
Yeah,
it's pretty obvious.
I don't know what. Yeah, there's no argument in my.
Let me give you my pros and cons, and then let you guys feed off of that.
I'm assuming someone's
pro
cons would be to just say Derek White or Tyrese Halliburton,
or Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
You always have to deal with some
Finals
end of bench
MVP.
stuff, right? But here was my pros. My pros, obviously, you get Curry, LeBron, KD, you get them rested, you get them in a position where they're all still very capable of being who they've always been, and they deliver. That right there holds more weight than a lot of any of these other teams could ever possibly bring.
And I mean, yeah, and you're not considering Kawhi on this team, who could have been, and who knows what it even looks like with him on there. So,
unfortunately, yes, this team should have been better, and then maybe at that point we wouldn't have even come close to having a conversation. Lineup management is my con. This team did take a little bit of tinkering and fun. So Steve Kerr may not get his flowers. Definitely didn't while it was happening. But ultimately, I think you got to give Steve Kerr a lot of credit here. Like this team was very weird and very talented, and a lot of difficult decisions had to be made.
And to be fair, he passed the only bar that matters. So,
well, I think he handled the Joel Embiid thing impeccably. Like I really can't think that they could have done that better because he's an MVP, guys. What are we gonna do? Bench him for Anthony Davis and Bam Adebayo? That's just not how this politics works and how it goes. And those are great players. I understand it's not like those are 2 scrubs, but like you know what I mean. It just doesn't work like that. So those were my 2 there. My number 2 team, and I've been debating this for a long time. I've actually been a part of this since this team suited up. The 2012 Redeem team on steroids. So this isn't the Redeem team. This is the next version of the Redeem team. What's different about this? What's different about this group? Well, you still have all the great Redeem team stars, but now I get a young Russell Westbrook. I get a young Kevin Durant. I get a young James Harden. I get a young Kevin Love. I get Tyson Chandler as Defensive Player of the Year, which is such a great, that's such an ideal big man, especially around all those other guys, because now I don't even have to worry about feeding him the rock. He just goes out there and does what he does naturally, and we all succeed. It's such a talented team. I think the worst player on that team would have been Darren Williams, maybe. So just an absolutely talented 2012 team. Anthony Davis was the rookie that remember when they used to do that, take a college player? It was fucking Anthony Davis coming off of the only time we've seen a one and done player win a national championship in that 1 year.
All right, just to let you know who probably would have been like the lower end team or the end of bench team that you're like, or end of bench players are on the team. Probably a tie between Darren Williams and Andre Iguodala. And Andre Iguodala.
No, Iggy would have played, actually. You should think vets and what they need, right? So actually, Westbrook, Harden probably wouldn't have played much. I got my tracker, but it would have been more like the youthful guys wouldn't have gotten as much run.
Word. Because I look at this team and it is stacked. I mean, you still have CP3, Kobe,
Right,
Melo.
exactly. All of them, except for Dwight. No Dwight, right?
I do not see Dwight.
so
no,
I think
we have
Dwight
Blake
has a-
Griffin.
Yeah, Dwight has a bad back in 2012, I think. I think that's when his back problems start.
Probably Kevin Love or Blake Griffin take his spot there.
Yeah, it's a little small. That's probably the only complaint you could maybe get to. But Tyson Chandler makes up for that in dividends. You know what I mean? So that's where I have them. Coming in at third, I have the Redeem team. Probably as talented of a team. The only issue, the bench is rough. No offense to Michael Redd, who's kind of a perfect plug-in player. It wasn't that. Carlos Boozer. I mean, what's a polar bear doing in Alaska? Or in Alaska, in Arlington.
In Texas,
Yeah, so like there's some bench stuff that comes with them. You also have to remember that wasn't the smoothest Redeem team run. 2012 was a much smoother run. Like they all were much more comfortable. They all sort of got it. I think there was still in 2012 a point where either Kobe or Chris Paul had to save the day. Or maybe it was one of the old heads had to save the day.
Probably Kobe.
For the most part, in 08, they were pretty shoddy. I mean, it was talented, but it almost felt like they sort of needed a little fuel to actually be able to handle that task. Like if there wasn't the 04 thing, I don't know how motivated that group is. But we'll see as we go. It's kind of hard to nitpick these groups, at least the top four, in my opinion. The 1996 team, or no, the top six. I would say the top six. It's hard. It is hard to nitpick. 96. You're talking about Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, and David Robinson all on the same team.
God,
that's not fair today, let alone in 1996. And then, dude, like
throw that lineup in 2K.
And you also have Karl Malone on there. So bad vibes. That's my con. Is you have to hang out with Karl Malone. It's also a lot of fuckboy shit. Like Gary Payton's also on this. He's like one of the best players on his roster. Like
Barkley.
Chuck is still on the team. It's not quite as great a Chuck as it was the first go around for Team USA, but it's still Chuck.
Mitch Richmond. Don't know who that is.
Mitch is a solid player, especially at that time. It's a talented group. It definitely had the most shenanigans. Like the most 90s, painfully 90s team, but the talent is just absurd. And that three-headed monster as big man tandem, and then also realize Karl Malone is usually a 5 in FIBA, so it's really 4 5 men that are just not fair for the world.
That's the 3-on-3 team we need to run.
Yeah, exactly, dude. So 96, I think, has gotten underlooked quite a bit because of the Dream Team 1, but Dream Team 2, they're pretty fucking loaded. Number 5. This one is controversial, I think, because this is where maybe you're already thinking we haven't gotten to the Dream Team. You're like, where's the Dream Team? And they're going to wait a little bit longer because I went ahead and put the 2016 team. And maybe this is more me just being a millennial. Maybe it's my bias. But that team means a lot to me, too, because it's a lot of – you get Boogie and Draymond. I know that's a high volume of fuck shit, but like it was a great time for
it depends
that.
on where you're at in Boogie's career, whether that's a good thing or not. So
it was a great time for both of those guys to be in their bullshit.
The flame burned bright for a little bit.
And then you have KD, you have Carmelo, and Kyrie just absolutely making the most nutso shots over the defenses that it didn't even matter. We didn't have to run plays for this team. We just cook that full basketball, and it worked very well because Draymond. Well, Draymond was so unfair, and I think Klay Thompson's also an auxiliary player on this group, so it was just not fair.
You had Jimmy Butler too.
Butler, but that's a con too. I mean, we learn more about Jimmy Butler as we go, and it seems like maybe he's a difficult fella, and that's not just Karl Anthony Towns.
It doesn't. I think Olympics might be perfect for that because it's like, all right, dude, a couple weeks I can put up with that. I'm not doing it for a full 6 months, but.
Especially to be a gold medalist, you don't want to not have this on your resume. I think that the guys that we'll get to in our last team, I don't think they really get knocked that hard for it. But I do think it's a missing thing from a resume. It's an unfortunate thing.
I bet they think about it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, that was a weird year. We'll break down that sadness at the end. Number 6, we finally get to the dream team.
2000. Oh.
Ooh.
No, I had to stop the free fall here because I was honest. I was honest with this stuff. This is my genuine opinion of just talent. You have prime Chuck, you have prime MJ, you have prime Scotty. Even if MJ didn't give a shit, which he didn't,
Prime
I'm still
Tony
taking that.
Kukoc.
Huh?
Oh, Kukoc played for Croatia, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he was definitely not on our roster. Unfortunately, you also do still have to hang out with Karl Malone. Larry Bird had a bad back, was basically in the final stages of retirement. Magic Johnson, I think, had already retired through the AIDS thing at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad team. John Stockton, I mean, obviously that it's not the worst group in the world. Chris Mullin, gotta love Chris Mullin. But like, if we're talking about all time, like, yes, I think it's maybe the greatest we've ever seen Charles Barkley. I think Michael Jordan was obviously ascending into who he was, but like, even if Mike cares, even if you make Mike care, it's whatever. Scotty's great. I mean, Scotty is truly one of the most unfair freak athletes that's ever played basketball. So
You're telling me Mike didn't have any action on the Olympics?
Mike had action, but it was in the locker room taking other people's money. That's what was happening. He was like, Chuck, this team is yours. I'm just gonna hang out and play whenever I feel like it. You got this, fam. I'm gonna make some money hustling kids in foreign countries. Number 7, the 2000 team, the bounciest group, the most notorious group, if you will, because the most notorious basketball moment prior to maybe the Serbia game this year happened with this group. Vince Carter jumping over Frederick Weiss. That was what France used to put out there, a 7'4", 7'5" guy, Frederick Weiss. And Vince, search that. If you've never seen him, he literally dunked over a 7'3"
I'm sure I've seen it.
And if you can find the picture, find Kevin Garnett's reaction. It's almost better than the dunk because Kevin is on the court staring at it.
Dunk of death.
USA inbounding with a 50.
Just put in Vince Carter Olympic dunk.
In Vice's W-I-E.
I got it, yeah. I'm watching it.
Or E-I-S. Anyway.
About to watch it. This is like a 2-minute video.
This was the closest to an and one mixtape group we ever put together.
Oh, here it comes. Oh, yeah.
Bouncing.
Nice.
Cleared him.
Well, he ducked, but yeah.
Cleared him. Yeah, put his nuts on his forehead, but cleared him mostly.
And then he's back doing the Duke low defense. He's not sliding the ground, but all right, sorry.
So
I forgot
the
about
bounciest
the
group,
games.
because this essentially was Jason Kidd directing young Ray Allen, young Antonio McDyess, young Vince Carter, and young Kevin Garnett.
Antonio McDyess is on that team?
Antonio McDyess, dude, at his peak, Antonio McDyess was one of the best players in the NBA. It just was a weird time for the NBA. So, jump shooting, that's the con for this group.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a lot of shooting happening here.
Ray Allen, at this point, not even really that. Like, he's a good shooter, but he has not turned into Ray Allen. I'm also about to blister you from 3 at all times, Ray Allen. He's just started to take that transition.
Yeah, I guess the only form of Antonio McDyess I really know is the his last 3 seasons. So
no, Antonio McDyess was one of the biggest dunkers, most special athletes we've ever seen from a highlight reel standpoint.
Played
Antonio
forever.
McDyess was one of the greatest.
95 to 2011, that's a run.
Yeah, he did well too.
After
it was a
3
very
years,
interesting career.
3 years in
in
Alabama. Yeah, that's a lot of basketball.
So yeah, so the
AI was on this team.
So the 2000 team, that's where they go. My number 8 team.
Number 8?
This one is painful because I think the 2000 team would probably be most people's naturally just poo-poo that talent. It was a bad era. Is jump shooting. These guys didn't shoot. They were just ISO. And one mixtape. There's plenty of people that hate on that era of basketball. That post Michael, that in between Michael LeBron era. But the 2000 team or the 2020 team, the COVID team that actually played in 2021, I believe, that team was hurt. That team almost got us caught, and that's why we came out with the super team this year. we got caught lacking a little bit last time. We had Kevin Durant, a young Devin Booker proved to be really useful. Drew Holiday came up massive, and this is after he had just won the title with the Bucks. But man, if that wasn't a roster full of cook that fool merchants,
Yeah.
I mean you got Lillard, you got Paul George,
Zach
You got-
LaVine.
Zach LaVine. Oh my God, it's just so much cook that fool. It is all the cook that fool you can put on a roster, and it just wasn't going to work. Bam Adebayo deserves credit. Bam was a big part of getting that roster at least filled out from the big man perspective, because I think injuries sort of cost us the future at the big man position as Americans, and then it kind of revitalized again as we've gone.
Yeah, man, this team did not have any size. I look at it, you had JaVale McGee at 7
Yeah,
foot.
we have
old.
JaVale McGee and Keldon Johnson. Again, this is
And it looks
COVID.
like- I mean, they beat.
Keldon
some
Johnson's still
extenuating
6'5",
circumstances.
though.
Looks like they beat everybody pretty easily except for France, right? So it's like
They have a loss to France in this, but essentially it was a lot of Kevin Durant having to save the day in these games. It was a great time for Kevin Durant, maybe his best overall performance. But at the end of the day, I couldn't trust this team to ever go back and repeat gold
I
against
mean,
anything.
I don't have the group games in front of me, but as far as the knockout stage, they won by 14, they won by 19, and then they beat France by 5. So that's the only close one.
Yeah. So, like I said, well, and I think if I remember correctly, that is, like I said, I think pretty sure Kevin Durant and Drew Holiday end up taking over that game late.
120
Basically.
point differential over the tournament, the highest by 50 points, basically.
Nice.
Yeah.
So,
Slovenia somehow had a plus 70 despite finishing 4th.
yeah, I think they beat the piss out of somebody. Either way, that team, you just look at that and you just don't think that team is just. I don't even wish that on my worst enemy. But hey, Greg Popovich got his only gold as a coach that way. So I mean, shout out to Pop for getting that group through the finish line on that one for sure, because that's a tough one. Because basically the reason why most people didn't want Pop to be the replacement for Coach K was because of the number 9 team. The 04 Dream Team.
The Nightmare team?
Nightmare
The
team.
sleep
Yeah, I don't know
paralysis.
what
The
you
Larry
want to call
Brown
that.
team.
The sleep
The Larry
paralysis
Brown team. Yeah, honestly, the Larry Brown team is the right way to coach it or to call it, because there was probably, arguably, and has never been a worse basketball coach to coach a team full of superstars than Larry Brown.
I guess I don't know much about the legacy. I've just always assumed he was a decent coach because he won
One of the
NBA
greatest of all
finals.
time.
Okay, sorry. I was like, I don't understand.
But go to his basketball reference or Wikipedia and just name me all the different franchises that he worked for as a coach.
I only know the Pistons.
Oh, buddy. Larry Brown is the reason you have Greg Popovich, my friend.
I just know the names, Ledger. And you're saying he's the worst coach they could have had?
He
Yeah.
is the worst
Personality
coach we could have ever put on an all-star team, let alone the Team USA group. Larry Brown is
One
a
of the biggest
basketball
curmudgeons.
savant. He is one of the wizards of basketball.
I completely forgot he coached at SMU.
Yes, he did do that at one point. Yes, at the end of his career, he got out and to do college stuff and shit again. He's won a title at college
is
and
he
he's won a
who-
title in the pros.
Is he who Pop fired and then replaced as the Spurs coach? Or no, he was out.
No,
before
that
then?
would have been who
Yeah.
he was replaced by, I believe. Larry Brown got Pop into the San Antonio system when he was the head coach of the Spurs.
Okay.
And then the guy after, there was a guy between, and then that's when Pop officially takes over.
Cool.
But Larry Brown, Denver Nuggets, I mean, he's been a part of a lot of different versions of that. He's a big part of ABA history. Larry Brown is a very, very important person in basketball history and coaching. He could be considered one of the greatest coaches of all time had the 04 team done what they should have done. But again, his own star player in 2004, Allen Iverson, they were at odds. The best player on this team is Tim Duncan. I love Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan's not fixing this problem. Tim Duncan's going to awkwardly come in, not say anything to anybody, and then leave, and then no problems getting fixed. No offense to Tim. It's not his problem. He's not here for that.
It's not his job. It's not who he is.
Yeah.
If it was the Spurs, maybe, but not Team USA. He's here to do his job and go home, right?
Yeah, where
He wants-
was Kobe in all this? What's his deal?
He's not even on the team.
That's my question. Yeah. Is that
No.
All right,
is that
so
the
back in
Colorado- is that
2004
Colorado? Okay.
Oh,
Back in
that's-
2004,
Okay.
Kobe was handling some things.
Now,
Oh, is
did
that
not
the
allow
one?
here we
him
go.
to be
Now
a
I can
part.
put my tinfoil hat on.
Did not allow him to be a part.
What
of
did Manu
Yeah,
Ginobili
but
have to do
I look at
with
this
Kobe's
team
trial?
and I see some guys who would have been great, like utility players, like Sean Marion, Lamar.
Yeah, I
Odom.
know. Lamar
Richard
Odom.
Jefferson?
There's guys that it was a bad time for Lamar Odom too. I would say it's probably the lowest point of Lamar Odom, even though he was.
Sir, the Mavs.
Bunny Ranch.
He's lowest moment of his prime playing career. Not the end of the playing career, and obviously not the post playing career.
Listen,
This moment was probably where his value as a basketball player was at the lowest. For him to be as youthful as he was. I think the Heat had him. I think the Heat had his rights, and they were about to flip him to the Lakers for Shaq.
Yeah, and one thing that I see on here is a huge lack of a distributor, just a natural distributor of the
Yeah,
ball.
exactly. I mean, Allen Iverson being your point guard essentially was not ideal.
Yeah, what was
Yeah,
Kid doing?
Allen
Why
Iverson,
isn't Kid on this
Stephon
team?
Marbury, like what?
Stephon Marbury, exactly.
What are we
Stephon
doing?
Marbury.
Why is Kid?
What are we doing?
Kid not on
That's
that team?
redundant.
He just didn't want to play.
Who's
Kid?
it?
Jason Kidd.
Kid in 04. Yeah, honestly, Kid probably declined because at this point,
Coming off
the Nets are starting to
finals
decline.
losses and yeah.
And he's already been like in the finals a couple of times. He's been in MVP, like he was in the MVP. Did he win the MVP? Whatever.
I'm sure
He
who else they
had
could've-
basically been the most important player in the league for the last like 3 years, so he probably just called it off.
Trying to figure out
You have
who
a
else-
young
who else
Wade,
they
a
could've
young
had.
Melo, a young.
And then
James.
yes, that's the other thing is, and then actually, if you watch
Honestly,
them
yeah, that's what
lose
they
to
should've done.
Argentina,
Should have just played LeBron and Wade the whole time.
the best part about the Argentina highlights is you're just watching Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade sitting on the bench and all with the towel, not even sitting on the bench, like they're up and they're in the game, but they're not in the game, you know. And you're just watching Sean Marion and Lamar Odom and God love him, Allen Iverson just not getting it done. And
Like I get it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you let the young guys wait a bit, but with some talent, you just kind of got to get them in there.
Well, and it was Larry Brown, and Larry Brown was never ever going to play those guys.
Like
Ever,
it would
ever,
be like
ever,
having
ever, ever.
Carlisle.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely from that version of coaching. So very upsetting there. But that's my rankings. Again, if it's influential, it's 92 and no one else. But if we're talking talent wise, I think it's
Literally,
fair
yeah.
to say
92 is the reason that it's
Everybody else.
Everyone. The boom. It's the big bang of international
It-
basketball.
yeah, I mean it might as well be the big bang of a lot of things in basketball because everything has prospered so much because of that moment. Everybody's careers. I mean, Michael Jordan probably isn't even the same if they don't have that level of global.
No.
You know,
I mean, he might still
So-
win. He might still win all those NBA finals, but
yeah, he's probably still to us what it is, but to globally become
Yeah.
the Michael Jordan, yeah, it may not have happened that way. So I'm going to end basketball with a couple other little quick things. I want to get you guys geared up because we're not going to have shit to talk about basketball for a minute now. We're done. I will still force feed you guys bullshit, but I'll try to make it fun and cute and short. The Big Three is going to crown a new champion coming up. Their team Bivouac. Yes, you heard that correctly. Bivouac. I don't know what that is exactly, but it's a soldier's camp if you Google it. It's Gerald Green. You may remember his dunks in the NBA. His brother plays along with him, and they just recruited Corey Brewer to the team this year. Corey, not too far away from his NBA career. Obviously, he was a really good athlete, won a couple of national championships, won a title with the Mavericks as a bench player. He is likely to be the MVP and or Defensive Player of the Year of the league, and they're coached by no one other than Gary Payton. They will be taking on Threes Company, who beat the defending champions, who were coached by Swaggy P, the enemies. But Threes Company is coached by Hall of Famer Michael Cooper, and they're led by star player Michael Beasley, who leads the league in scoring and had a YOLO 3 to actually win and put them into the championship game. Mario Chalmers, Reggie Evans, the role players on that group. So, look, Is it a bunch of old heads playing some basketball? Yeah. But at least it's a championship. At least you know most of these dudes. Like most of these people are NBA relevant.
So a bivouac is a temporary camp without tents or cover. So
Okay,
it's
there
just
you go.
basically camping outside without any shit.
But here's the thing. Why did they name this team that? I don't know. I don't know
'Cause
Big
they're
League 3 lore enough.
temporary. They're temporary. They're on the road. They're up and going every week.
Ooh, that is a good no, because all of them make sense.
Barnstorming,
Like
yeah.
Tri-State was the team they beat. You have Three's Company, the other one. Enemies doesn't really doesn't tie in, but a lot of them are based on like there's the Ball Hogs. They do all the little
Yeah,
punny
they
things.
used a random name generator and then
They get a little cute. So that's it with the big three. I'll obviously watch that this weekend and we'll talk about it if you guys are bored. It should be Sunday. I think the CBS network, Sports Network, is what airs them. They're also on X because Ice Cube is buddies with Elon and things stream on X,
Yeah.
including
people
presidential interviews sometimes.
People do that.
What we're going to talk about next is just, again, highlighting the future. There will be WNBA talk as well. We will be able to sprinkle some of that in as we go. Even if it is in small doses, even if it is just to keep you guys sort of interested so that if the playoffs come, you kind of know what's going on.
We have that bigger story that might be more.
There also is a bigger story that we will let kind of cook up a little bit. I mean, so essentially it's Dearica Hamby we've been knowing that she's going to sue and has sued the WNBA and the Las Vegas Aces.
And Becky Hammond, and I think she names a couple of others, right?
Yeah, actually, that's fair. Becky's actually named. So essentially, this is they've been acting in prejudice through her being pregnant, right?
I don't know. Let's save this for next week.
But yeah, so essentially, we'll explain that. We'll see if we get any public comment. There was an interview that the commissioner did with ABC already, but I watched it and she definitely did not. She definitely treated it like a legal document that was just obtained.
Okay.
So that's not useful. But we'll kind of see how everybody responds to it. There's some interesting things in there. And it gets to some stuff that's specific to WNBA, but that's not very specific. That's not specific to just WNBA. That's a very sports thing. And so we'll tease that. But on the watching side, on the competitive side, the restarts tomorrow. You got 3 WNBA games starting tomorrow, and then the season's going to continue as normal. The girls got next to no time off. I mean, it wasn't the worst.
Only the ones on the teams.
Yeah. Well, the people who didn't compete, they definitely did. The trade deadline will be Tuesday, the 20th. Usually doesn't mean anything. We've already seen one pretty big trade this season. So there's a little more hope that the WNBA, now that there's some more interest, now that, new buyers are buying into the Dallas Wings and making them the most valuable WNBA franchise temporarily.
Sandals and the Adelmans.
And so it's just, there's all these little monies coming in. So now maybe the deadline will be more interesting. But we'll keep up with that next time. For now, we've had a long, long wait. It's been a long, long, cruel summer. But boy, are people getting concussions at a high rate once again.
All right, now we're back to me, fellas.
Concussion.
And before we go into the real meat of the football situation here, the football segment, we have to lament that we have to address some quick hits, some notable stories that have happened. And well, fellas, this is always the part of NFL training camp that just really breaks people's hearts. And it's when people break things in training camp.
I forgot that movie ever existed.
Yeah. Well, this unfortunately applies to Vikings quarterback JJ McCarthy, who is now going to miss the 2024 season after knee surgery. a big blow to the Vikings rookie quarterback. Listen, I don't know where the Vikings were going to be in terms of the NFC North hunt. I mean, there's plenty of talent throughout the team. That quarterback position being a real, question mark, of course, with a rookie quarterback, with Sam Darnold, who, let's face it, the jury's out on that guy. He's not very good.
I can play some devil's advocate there, though.
I could win this game of devil's advocate with you on Sam Darnold. There is just no.
The only
Listen,
hope
there's
is
enough.
Jared
There's
Goff-
enough
a Jared
tape.
Goff
He's had
line.
enough throws. Like there's enough bad habits there. Granted, this may be the second most talented team he's ever been a part of, and we'll
he's
get to see
actually
it.
got a
We'll get to
quarterback
see
for
what
a
he has.
coach who might be able to tell him what he's doing wrong versus the revolving door of coaches no sees he's been with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing
I don't think
is
he's going to be
is,
great, but I mean, he could end up being serviceable for a year.
And have you followed up on the Addison thing?
They don't. We'll find out tomorrow. They don't think
Yeah.
it's too serious, but they always say that. So
Yeah, but so my concern, and if I was a Vikings fan, right, it's you have 5-6 seasons, over 1,000 throws of Sam Darnold on tape to just see that this guy, at best he may have it as a backup for a few games, but if he's starting for a full season, I have questions, and I don't think that he has good answers to. But there's more to be said about the Vikings season that has yet to start. So we'll see how that unfolds for them. It is sad for JJ McCarthy. Now there's plenty of jokes. Vikings may be in contention for the number 1 overall pick. I don't think so, gentlemen. I think I know who's actually going to be in contention for the number 1 overall pick, and that is the New England Patriots. All right, they just traded today Pro Bowl linebacker Matthew Judon to the Atlanta Falcons. Judon has had 32 sacks in the past 3 seasons. That's tied for 10th in the NFL. And I believe he has 14 and a half more sacks than the closest Patriot to him. I had that in my notes somewhere, but I've lost that. Oh, well. So, Judon, he's been very good for the last couple seasons. He has been an absolute terror and one of the few bright spots on a really bad Patriots roster for the last couple of years. So, you look at this team, they don't really have anything on offense that makes you go, wow. Nothing on defense that really makes you go, hey, man, they really got it. It was just, a few bright spots here and there. And you know what? He's gone now. He's entering the final season of his 4-year, $56 million extension. And listen, I look at this Atlanta team. They're shoring up that defense. Atlanta's still Atlanta until they prove that they're not, right? But this is definitely a big-time get, even though he is 32 years old. I don't think he's much of a speed rusher. I think he wins a lot with power, and that translates well into older age for defensive linemen. So who knows what we get here. And as far as trade compensation, I can't really find it. I think they're getting like a 3rd-round pick for him. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, I think it was a
have to
3rd,
fact-check
but I
me.
don't know if there was anything, wonky about the 3rd.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I know that it was being touted as a 3rd because, of course, naturally there's the Cowboys side of this where everyone's like, all they gave up was a 3rd. Naturally when the Cowboys people, they have to make it about the Cowboys. So they bring up the compensation because then they're like, and that's how I learn about the compensation a lot of times.
Yeah, and listen, a 3rd might be a little rich for a guy who is 32 years old coming into the last year of his deal. But if you are in win now mode, which I don't think Atlanta is, but who knows? I mean,
They're in
internally,
get better now mode.
They're in
They're in
better now.
a winnable division mode.
I think they
Very winnable.
They put that money in to compete for sure.
Yeah, and so listen, if you are in win now mode, then obviously you spare no expense, within reason, I guess, to go get these guys. That hey, listen, you may have to pay them or give them a little, little bonus into their contract somewhere or another, so they get a lot of money up front. and then you worry about whether to re-sign them later or not. But hey, I'm just a guy on a podcast. What do I know? Now, gentlemen, there is yet more trade talk to be had in these quick hits. And this one goes to the San Francisco 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Maybe.
Now, maybe. That's the key word is maybe. So, for those of you who have not kept up with the Brandon Ayuk drama in San Francisco, he wants out. They want him to stay. However, San Francisco, they're not like the Jets, okay? They're not weird about this. They don't try to like force their hand onto these players. They know, because they are, as much as I don't like them, they are a well-ran franchise. They know that they're not going to let a valuable asset, a valuable player, waste away. If they don't want to be there, fine. We're going to get the most that we can for them. And right now, despite the fact that Brandon Ayuk has basically shut down 2 potential trades, I think one of them was to the Cleveland Browns and to the New England Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers have emerged as the front runner because this is Brandon Ayuk's preferred destination, which is kind of weird when you think about it. I mean, I get the whole, the memes of him and Mike Tomlin looking alike, but you look at the situation and you're like, I look at that quarterback room and I'm like, do you really want to play with Russ? And as much as I love Justin Fields, like the potential of Justin Fields, he's yet to put it all together. So unless he sees something there, and then of course you have the defending, but not really defending head coach, Fight Club champion Arthur Smith. Like, listen, he's coming off a bad stint with Atlanta. Like, you may have liked his offense in Tennessee, but like in Atlanta, the guy left a lot to be desired. So if Ayuk wants to go there, kudos to him. It seems now that the 49ers have confirmed that Brandon Ayuk, a trade with Brandon Ayuk to the Steelers is just one phone call away from happening. They've agreed to the parameters. What they are, who knows? But you have a young receiver in the prime of his career. I think he's coming off an all-pro season. He had, 75 catches, 1,300 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Like, he was the best receiver on their team last year, helped leading them en route to a Super Bowl appearance. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. And I have one last note on the trade rumors. All right, former Philadelphia Eagles great Hassan Reddick got traded in the offseason to the New York Jets. And guys, he's already there and he wants to leave. The man spent not even 2 weeks around Aaron Rodgers and he wants to get the fuck up out of there.
He wants his money, and these teams are trying to play. Like, Woody Johnson is also amongst he spends more than Jerry, but man, their brain might as well be, there's not too much difference there.
And they might be sharing a brain, so who knows? Listen, the Jets and Hassan Reddick, from everything that I've seen, there was kind of an acknowledgement that the contract would be worked out because that's why he was leaving Philly. He wanted more money, and Philadelphia was like, listen, we'll just send you somewhere that we think could get you more money. Hassan Reddick signs off on it, goes to the Jets. We get Bryce Huff in free agency. It's kind of worked out like a trade. And what happens now? Well, listen, part of the Eagles-Jets trade was this is a third-round pick that we're getting on, and it could be a conditional second-round pick based on his playing time and production. What it looks like, neither one's happening anytime soon. The Jets don't want to pay him. And they also have told them we're not going to trade you either. This is the one thing I don't get with teams. I'm like, listen, I get it. You're a rich billionaire. You want to just put your dick on the table, tell people, hey, I run the show here. But you don't. You let Aaron Rodgers come in and start dictating the roster to you. You're like, yes, Aaron Rodgers, we acquiesce. He hasn't played a down. He played three plays for you. And yet you still gave him the most power in that franchise. So this is not unprecedented that a player comes in here and it's like, hey, I'm demanding some money. I'm demanding this. And then you acquiesce. You've done it. Granted, Hassan Reddick, not as accomplished as Aaron Rodgers' career versus career. It's apples to oranges, though. All right, but here's the thing. One has been unbelievably productive in the sack department, and the other one looks like he's on watch. All right. So either way, Jets, Sam Reddick, good luck to you guys. We'll see where this drama unfolds as the offseason continues and as we get closer to the NFL season. And last, but certainly not least, because we definitely need what is it? That SEO. The Dallas Cowboys. There's some Dallas Cowboys stuff to talk about. Not really. It's a much to do about nothing. Beth, you could probably tell where I'm going with this. It's CeeDee Lamb. All right. You know?
Well, I thought you were going to talk about Nashawn Wright being traded.
Not at all. Not at all. Although that is a little funny story, a little funny tidbit. But I didn't follow that too closely. Listen, for those of you who are following the whole CeeDee Lamb hold in, whatever contract negotiations, let's be real. This is just the Cowboys, MO. This is how they do things. It's frustrating for Cowboys fans, and ESPN loves
frustrating for everybody because that's the thing is that, like, everyone has to deal with the consequences of this delayed process.
Yeah, man. Like, listen, it didn't help that, according to Jerry Jones, his words are being, misconstrued according to him. It's like there's no no sense of urgency to get this contract done, and then CeeDee Lamb quote tweets that quote with an LOL, and then that just drove football Twitter crazy. Listen, this deal is probably gonna get done. CeeDee Lamb is probably gonna get paid a decent amount. Now, whether he gets a long-term contract or not, we'll see, right? But I just don't see a world where they fuck it up this bad. I mean, they have fucked it up before, but not with Lamb, who is reaching the apex of his talent, right? Of
They're
his
just
physical gifts.
wringing out the media attention, and then they'll overpay him about what? You get a 2-week period between the last preseason game and the start of the season.
Yeah, I think you get like a week now.
Okay.
Because we got rid of that fourth game. So
whatever. You get that window, they'll get it done, and then maybe it gets done right before the third preseason game.
And it's it's kind of difficult to say he'll get overpaid. Like, unless he outpaces Justin Jefferson's contract by like a significant margin, I don't see how he gets.
Well, you have to understand there's a pie and there's some credit cards, and he can only get so much of either one.
True. Very, very true.
And then, the other two, I mean, Micah's definitely not going to get a contract. And then I think at this point, we had the pump fake on Dak and nothing else since. So I would say that's definitely going down to unrestricted at this point. I don't see any other. Maybe they just wake up middle of the season randomly. But.
If I'm Dak, I wouldn't be signing anything right now anyways. What are you going to do?
Yeah, unless he's worried about, any injury. But, I mean, obviously that'd be –
I mean, look at Kirk.
Bet against. Yeah, it's true. Kirk definitely landed on his feet with that.
Dak's a good enough quarterback that the market's there for him. Someone's going to pay him. So
yeah, it'd have to be another pretty gruesome injury, and even then. So ultimately that looks like that's the trajectory. But, yeah, I would like CeeDee Lamb back sooner than later because it's just feels it's boring, but I'm also used to it. I just feel bad for everybody else because I would like to watch some of these NFL shows too, but then I turn it on and they're like CeeDee Lamb to hold out. I'm like, no.
It's like 50% Cowboys talk. Then you got Aaron Rodgers talk.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers talk's gonna dominate quite a bit too. Yeah, it sucks. It makes me mad too.
Yeah, that's why you don't go to ESPN for your football talk. You come here to pass the rock, baby. Because you got
we're gonna actually break down the scrimmage Twitter highlights today.
That's right. We're gonna talk about 6th round draft picks and who's most likely to break out from the 6th round class.
Please no.
Real football guys.
We need the all 22.
We're not going to do that, but what we are going to do today, I am presenting a brand new series to the football segment because we are going to establish a brand new or two brand new titles here on the show. All right. And it is the Pass the Rock Football Prediction Championship Series. I know that's a mouthful. Fuck it.
Hey, yo.
And we're going to start today, gentlemen, with the first round. Now, to our audience at home, this is what is up for grabs. All right. For the winner, you will get the prestigious honor of a trophy that has on there listed Pass the Rock's Football Lisan Al Gaib. All right. For you are our Nostradamus, you are our all-seeing, all-knowing ball knower of football. And a prize that I pick out. Now, if I win, I'm just going to keep the trophy. But if either of you two win, you'll get another prize on top of that, courtesy of your boy here. But the loser gets their own dishonorable trophy or award, whatever. Just knowing
Dishonorable discharge.
Like the like the nutsack from the league.
And you're basically the nutsack of the league. You don't know ball, and you will have to wear this scarlet letter with pride throughout the offseason. I'm making that a rule, fellas. This trophy has, or this not award has to be shown on camera.
I see this going like my March Madness, where I dominated early and fell into a pit of despair by like
You got
a couple of
but you got
days
to middle out, so
Now,
I survived.
Now you guys already know what we are competing on, but for the audience, there's 3 rounds that we'll do over the course of these next 3 weeks. So today, we will be predicting the individual awards for the NFL season. And then, I think I have it on here, next week, we will be predicting division winners. That is right. Division winners, and then
Something we did really well last year. We all nailed that. Everybody nailed that. No bad decisions made.
Or actually, division winners will be saved for week 3. Week 2 of this segment is actually team schedule outcome. Which one of us can predict our own team schedule the best? All right.
Fuck.
Oh, like wins and losses. I just thought you meant like who they're playing each week. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can just look that up, but all right.
No, wins and losses, baby. Wins and losses.
4 ties.
Who knows their team the best? It's basically what that one is.
I also don't feel like that answers that question, but for the bit, I'm going to run with it.
Oh, and yes. And then, of course, division winners. And then in the event of a tie, we're going to have to use the Super Bowl to be a tiebreaker. Now, I'll go through
Super
the rules.
Balls.
Yeah, Super Bowls. I'll go through that if we ever have to cross that bridge. But for now, gentlemen, let's get started with some predictions, shall we? I'm going to lead things off with my predictions. I have them listed right here. Patrick, if I need to email them to you, let me know. I'll send it to you just so we can have some good record keeping here. But for my list, for the individual award series, here are my predictions. I'm starting from the bottom to the top. Comeback player of the year. At first, I wasn't going to list this on here, but we had this conversation off camera. I was like, you know what? Yeah, fine. We'll do it. I know that the odds-on favorite is going to be Aaron Rodgers. However, he is not the better quarterback of the quarterbacks that are coming back. You know who is, though? Joe Burrow, baby. He's coming back. He has a better team, a better roster. All right, he's in the prime of his career. And if his history is anything to go by, every time he comes back from injury, the man is absolute gas. Right?
He's good at football, historically.
He is good at football, especially coming back from an injury. We saw it when he came back from his rookie year. What did happen? took the team to the Super Bowl? What happened to the year where he was healthy entering the season? Didn't look so hot for a while. It took him a while to heat up. And now he's coming back from injury. This man's going to go thermonuclear. He has T. Higgins on the last year of his deal, or I believe on the tag. Jamar Chase is paid. Listen, this is a team that has a lot to prove. The AFC North is going to be tough.
And they need that playoff money.
They need that playoff money, baby. Joe Burrow is my pick for comeback player of the year. Now, my head coach of the year. This one was tough. I didn't look at the odds, but I just thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? A lot of established head coaches don't usually get put up for the award. It's usually for the new guys. Who of the new guys gets the award? And I thought, hold on. This is easy. This is a home run. This is money, baby. It's Raheem Morris. He has a talented offense. He just got Matthew Judon, and he's in a very winnable division, and he has a lot to prove. This is a hungry man. This is a hungry team. I see this as a no-brainer. This guy's my head coach of the year. Now, this is the tough part. We're getting into the rookie awards. It's hard to predict rookies, especially defensive rookies of the year. I'm going with Dallas Turner. I don't know. Listen, you could have gone Latu. The homer in me wanted to pick Quinyon Mitchell. He's been having a great camp. He's going to be the starting corner or the starting nickel corner for the Eagles. New system with Vic Fangio. At the same time, I just can't trust an Eagles rookie defensive player. I just can't. History tells me not to. And so we're just going to go Dallas Turner. He's probably the one with the most pedigree of all of these other players on the list. And then offensive rookie of the year, I got to go with my layups, baby. I got to go with my layups. The other one, it was like just, I'm throwing a dart in the dark. This one, it's a layup. Caleb Williams. He has probably one of the best receiving cores a rookie quarterback has ever had coming into the league. All right. You have DJ Moore, who just got signed to a big deal. Keenan Allen, maybe a little old, but still very reliable, especially coming out of the slot. And then you have the rookie Rome Odunze, the first-round draft pick. So you have a little bit of everything, right? An established in his prime guy, a seasoned vet who can get open, and then the blue blood talent in Rome Odunze. I don't know. I think Chicago may have their first 4,000-yard passer ever in Caleb Williams. We'll see, though. And now, the big sexy awards. We're starting with Defensive Player of the Year. Last year was Micah Parsons. Myles Garrett. I think I had Micah Parsons, though, in that one. Correct me if I'm wrong. This year, I think the Defensive Player of the Year trophy stays in the AFC North, but not going to Myles Garrett. He's not going back-to-back. We're getting TJ Watt, baby. He's bringing it home to the Watt family. Our boy here is going to go thermonuclear this season. If he stays healthy, it's over for the AFC North. I'm talking 20 sacks, 80 tackles, couple forced fumbles, maybe even a defensive touchdown. Maybe. That's my guy. Now here, gentlemen, I'm going with a super long shot. All right. The ultimate dark horse. He's not even listed in like the top 10 of potential offensive player of the year listings. And I'm going to go with my first homer pick of the year. It's not Saquon Barkley. It's A.J. Brown, baby. I think A.J. Brown in what Bethke's going to refer to as the no identity Kellen Moore offense is going to go crazy because guess what? We're now just going to throw hella slants to him. He's going to be the next Michael Thomas slant god. They're just going to spam that to the tune of over 100 receptions, over 1,600 yards. I'm thinking he's talking like 17, 18 touchdowns. All right. And he's going for offensive player of the year. You could take that to the bank. I wouldn't put that much money on it, though, because I'm not soliciting gambling advice. Now, the MVP. You know, you can go with the boring, just like, hey, give it to Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes may very well be the most deserving MVP who doesn't win the MVP in the NFL this season. You can go CJ Stroud with the super flashy pick, like, this guy, the Texans, they're really good last year. He might be the one. He might be the next one. Nah. I'm gonna go with another not so predictable pick.
Brock
Jordan
Purdy.
Love of the Green Bay Packers,
Oh.
baby. Jordan Love leads the Packers to an NFC North title. Sorry, over the Lions, over the Vikings, over the Bears, to a number 1 seed. He gets the MVP, and I sweep this competition. Those are my picks. Read them and weep. Becky, you look like you're ready to share with the class.
I'm gonna cut in line. I'm gonna give you all mine real quick because I gotta do one thing after this real quick.
Sounds good.
So comeback player of the year. I'm taking Kirk because I think it's just set up for that to work out. That they're gonna look really good. I did have J.K. Dobbins as a good value pick at plus 2,000 though, because if the stats break right, he could come in and take that. Coach of the year, I went with Raheem Morris also, kind of the same exact reasons. Just seems like it's set up for him. Value pick had D'Amico Ryans plus 1,400. You could see that working out. Defensive rookie, I went with I'm not gonna say that. Laiatu Latu. He's at plus 500. Seems pretty safe. But you could also get Kool-Aid McKinstry at plus 2,500. That might be.
You can drink the Kool-Aid.
Offensive rookie of the year, I went with Marvin Harrison Jr. Because I just won't ever trust anything the Bears do until it actually happens. But I think for value, Xavier Worthy at plus 1,800, that could happen. Defensive player of the year, I'm just effing reloading Mike Parsons again. Maybe I'll be right this time. But Aiden Hutchinson at plus 1,500 seems like a good value on that also. And then offensive player of the year, I think Saquon, honestly. I think that's gonna happen. But I do have Bijan as the value pick. And then MVP,
so your official pick is Saquon.
yes.
Okay.
And then MVP Pat, just because I don't know, unless he gets hurt, I don't know how he doesn't get it. And then
Voter fatigue.
And then Lamar is my value pick there because he's at plus 1,200. And I did just now note that in the MVP odds, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight AFC quarterbacks before you hit Jordan Love in the odds.
Listen, man,
There
I'm
you go.
swinging for
That's
the
a value
fences.
player.
All right, Beth, I'm going to miss yours, but I'll watch it on the replay.
It'll be even better. So there's a way that logical people can live their lives, and there's a way that people can enjoy their lives. A logical person might look at the comeback player of the year and say, that's a Joe Burrow award. Because he's going to come back, and he's going to come back good as fuck. And they're probably going to, Kirk Cousins might have a great year, but they're going to love Joey Burrow. Especially if he's that dude again. But a motherfucker like me says it's DeMarvion Overshawn.
No.
That's right. Look, I just want you to know, I wrote these down. I haven't changed a single one since you guys have started having this.
Wait, you got to tell Patrick. You got to tell Patrick.
He missed the best one so far. Now it's spoiled.
It's okay.
But
I will see it at least 3 or 4 times, so don't worry about it.
I decided that, there's a logical man and then there's the heart, There's the logic and there's heart. So logic is Joe Burrow.
Is
But
this
the
MVP
heart,
comeback player?
comeback player.
Okay.
That's not his official pick, though, Patrick.
But the heart
Zeke.
says DeMarvion Overshawn.
Okay. At least he didn't say Zeke.
Zeke would have been good though. Think about that.
But he's not coming back from anything. He played every game.
Yeah, apparently sucking also is a part of it.
For being goddamn terrible.
I saw the odds. Okay. Head coach of the year. And again, I did not change these. A lot of us came to an agreement. I
It
think
just
the
feels like
logical
it's-
person says, "Hey, Raheem Morris,
Feels like it's
this
set
is
up for
clear."
that. Yeah.
But you know who has his back up against the
Mike
wall?
McCarthy.
That not even his own ownership believes in him? Fat Mike. And that's why he's about to win head coach of the year.
I thought you were going to say Nick Sirianni.
Mike McCarthy. Mike
The
McCarthy
problem-
is going to be the 2024 head coach
problem
of the
is-
year.
what-
Against all odds, no contract.
Because it's a regular season award. So how is he gonna make?
Yeah, like 12-4, so he's going to have to go, what?
You'd have
15-2?
You'd have to have a hell of a team. And the only way to have a hell of a team is to keep going down this list. So the logical man would say defensive
No.
rookie of the year. Defensive rookie of the year. Jared Verse. He struggled against Tyler Guyton. That's unfortunate. But maybe they can share the stage together because Tyler Guyton's going to be the offensive rookie of the year.
Going to give it to an offensive lineman.
And Marshawn, well, Jared Verse not going to be there because Marshawn Nealon's going to be there as the defensive rookie of the year.
Who?
That's the crazy part. Is they just keep going. It's just this is one of those years where they're going to write about in books.
Should have
How
taken
much
a
talent-
longer step away from this.
Because Caleb Williams is the sexy pick, but Tyler Guyton is going to come in and change the way people draft the left tackle position moving forward. How do you replace Tyrone Smith with super Tyrone Smith?
You've got a lineman winning offensive rookie of the year.
You know what's
That's
even
wild.
better? I actually had Cooper Beebe here, and then I remembered Tyler Guyton existed. So boom.
So you go in with a defensive player for the Cowboys that no one's heard of.
Marshawn
Yeah.
Nealon, the starting edge rusher that will be getting a lot of attention because Mozzie Smith is now a plug-up guy. We've got he's a plug-up guy. And then we've got obviously the greatest defensive player of all time, who will obviously win the Defensive Player of the Year this year, Micah Parsons. Aiden Hutchinson, again, there's a logical conversation there, but it will be Micah Parsons.
Micah's the favorite by a good margin on most
Right,
people.
right.
So.
So
Yeah.
and he's so good that he's going to get Marshawn Nealon Defensive Rookie of the Year
But-
because he's going to have 20 sacks.
But the only reason Micah's number is so good is because he plays for the Cowboys. I think realistically he's probably like a plus 1,000. But with the Cowboys, they'll put it at plus 550. People put money on it.
And with the Comeback Player of the Year and the Defensive Rookie of the Year on your same team, and you Comeback Player of the Year, I didn't even talk about the
This is
fact
like
that
the end of my college football dynasties when I win the title and win every single individual what do you call it position award.
Hey, I'm not done yet. You know, we're still on the course here. And I could have also went Diggs for Comeback Player of the Year, but DeMarvion Overshown's future Hall of Famer, and everyone's going to know that very soon. Offensive Player of the Year. We could start talking about Bijan Robinson logically. I think that's a great player to pick. But the real question is who is
Rico
what
Dowdle.
do you what?
Said Rico.
No,
Gathers.
this is so
Dowdle.
obvious.
Rico Dowdle.
No. Why do we get the football to Sedarian? Because he's
Yeah.
good at football. Sedarian Lamb gets paid and is the offensive player of the year.
I just don't know how you can win offensive player of the year as wide receiver if the quarterback then he should win it. He gave
No,
me the ball
because
every
you
time.
know now we've decided to split awards. If there's so much greatness, we need to start passing it along. Joe Burrow, again, I think that he's the logical man's MVP. It makes
Joe
too
Burrow?
much sense. It's too much sense. Logical people
over like Patrick Mahomes and
Yeah, because voter fatigue is real. Joe Burrow is going to win the MVP,
He's
and I think
30
logical
nods.
people would think that. But fuck that. Dak Prescott is about to be the MVP, and he's going to take the Cowboys to the cleaners this offseason for all the money in the world and the deed to Frisco. Let's go.
Watch,
Patrick, clip this, please, and save it for when he starts disparaging Dak Prescott in Week 3.
got you.
Thank you,
We're
for,
good.
thank you for letting me get to week 3.
Yeah. Vikings let me know today what to do for this whole season. It's gonna be fine. I got no. It's gonna be a
yeah.
fun season because I just don't have. It's the lowest bar I've had in a while. So
I've just decided to irrationally enjoy this Cowboys season, even if it's a complete mockery. I just want to enjoy it. That's my choice. I'm going to enjoy every second of it, even if it's stupid and ugly.
All right, so we know who is in the running for last place right now.
Jacob, do you have your
Joke's on you though. What if this does turn out
Do
and
you
then
have your
we
picks
sit
written
here
down?
where you guys
Yeah,
are just
I know.
eating a bunch
You-
of crow?
you laid the best parlay of all time on a podcast where the best you get is a crappy trophy.
And you know what? Sometimes that's how
You
history's
could have turned
made.
$1. You could have turned $1 into like 500 million with this parlay. They wouldn't even take it probably because the payout's too high.
Yeah, they would never pay this off if it happened. It's the Cowboys too, so I'd probably get better.
Get some really funky odds.
Just
Well,
the
no,
Cowboys
actually,
ticket
it
would be
hurts you on the
crazy.
payout because it's Cowboys because they're all closer to the best odds or whatever. So,
That's
Oh,
funny.
Jacob, you're gonna have
Anyway.
to, you. Well, never mind. I'll go back and I'll see those again. Sorry, that's it.
Yeah, no, and it'll be confusing, but rest assured that I did choose every Cowboys player.
Ooh,
whoops.
Early.
Almost spoiled the next segment there for a second.
I'll just go ahead and do this
Coach.
then.
Fight Club. Hey, Coach, Fight Club. All right, fellas. A nice awkward transition to the Head Coach Fight Club. We are getting closer and closer to the end of this wonderful series for the season. I mean, for the off season. And guys, this matchup has been very exciting. Just thinking about all the different possibilities across all the different scenarios that this fight could happen in. We got this week 2 Titans. Raheem Morris in the 4 seed
I don't think they
Against-
were ever Titans.
against Andy Reid. Well, you know, let's look at the record. Let's look at the record, okay? This man's built like a Titan. He's around 6'2", well
Built
over
like a
300
walrus.
pounds. All right, and he has a 4-2 record in the Fight Club. Andy Reid is no Fight Club slouch. All right, and then you have the upstart Raheem Morris. All right, 6'1", 200 pounds. The man is just well chiseled with a 3-0 record representing the undefeated Atlanta Falcons in the Fight Club. All right, there's a lot at stake for this franchise. The only thing that they've ever been real winners at is in this particular sport, the Fight Club itself. So, gentlemen, you
And
know,
blowing Super Bowl leads. No one will ever do that quite spectacularly.
true. Just blowing leads in general is a great Atlanta Falcon thing. But we're here to see if maybe they don't blow this lead, right? Because you're the 4 seed going up against the 12. Yes, you are at a disadvantage in terms of size, but you have the cardiovascular, you have the age, you have a lot of things going for you. Will you be able to take advantage of it, Raheem Morris? Let's find out. But first, the wheel needs to tell us what kind of fight we have. We're going to spin this bitch around and around and around. And we are Jetty. Woo! Good old wrestling, baby. We're getting
It's still real to me, damn it.
still real to me, and this fight is real. This is happening in real life. Y'all just don't know it because there's a conspiracy by big media to hide the fact that these coaches actually beat the shit out of each other, and we're just bringing you the news.
But you can get this with League Pass.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. All right, now, oh god, what is this video that I see on my side? That all right, you know what?
No,
I'm sure it was
don't
you,
worry
Bethany,
about
who put
that.
it up there. I'm sure.
There's nothing there.
I'll let you get to that whenever we get to that. Now, where do we think we're going with this? I'm gonna lead things off in this pro wrestling bout. I look at it. Listen, you got like a high flyer, cruiserweight, and Raheem Morris, and you got a big, super heavyweight. We're talking Andre the Giant, Big Show, Big Van Vader, styled wrestler, and Andy Reid. But you know what? Andy Reid, he's kind of at the end of his rope here, man. You know, just physically, he's just not the same guy. So I want to make this a fair fight. I have no hidden agendas here. I don't know where I'm going with this because this is coming off the cuff. I'm using my primetime rewind. Patrick, you know what to do, which is
Andy Reid's a baby.
List that down that I'm using it. Thank you. Andy Reid in the prime of his youth at BYU when he was an offensive lineman there. And now we're getting a young Andy Reid, still a big intimidating force, maybe not as heavy, but he's definitely quicker on his feet, right? Against the Raheem Morris of now. And this is no ordinary match, all right? This is like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels at Hell in a Cell. This is where it's happening, a Hell in a Cell match. These two guys make their ring entrances, all right? You have Raheem Morris coming out like the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn Michaels, he's doing the flexing. He's, you know, doing the little suck it sign to the crowd. He's kissing babies. He's kissing baby mamas.
Ayo.
And he's just a flashy son of a gun. And then you have the big man himself, Andy Reid, comes out to the ring, all slow, prodding, but very intimidating. These two men go inside and they start squaring off. They start exchanging blows, da, 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 da. But it's clear Raheem Morris does not have as much power behind his punches as Andy Reid does. So with every blow that Andy gets in there, he's knocking Raheem Morris to the ground. Raheem Morris, gets up quickly, gets out of the ring, and immediately starts looking for weapons on the ring. Pulls out a steel chair, but you know what he sees as soon as he gets that chair? Andy Reid, menacingly, grabs that chair, throws it away. Immediately, just starts getting Raheem Morris, throwing him against the sides of the cage. He grabs Raheem Morris by the back of the head and just starts scrubbing his head against the cage. Raheem Morris starts bleeding out. Yeah, it's cheese grater. It's looking real rough. Raheem Morris, he knows he's like in a bad position. He's in a tight space with a big man. So what does he do? He goes down under for a low blow, sends Andy Reid to the ground, holding his, the family jewels as he tries to recuperate. So where does Raheem Morris go? Fellas, he goes to the top of the cell itself, and Andy Reid pursues. And these men, they start fighting on the top of the cage, trading blows, punch for punch, chop for chop, slap for slap, elbow for elbow. And the blood is just gushing from Raheem Morris's face. And what happens now? Andy Reid, he says, F this. I'm going to end this now. He gets his hand ready for a choke slam on Raheem Morris. And as he goes to lift him up, Raheem Morris pokes him in the eye. Andy Reid grabs his face. And what does Raheem Morris do? He's loading up the band, baby. He's getting ready for some sweet chin music. Bah! He kicks Andy Reid down. Andy Reid goes flying off the cage through the announce table. And Raheem Morris looks down and he knows he can't win. He can't win this match by a TKO. He has to go for the pin. So he points to the sky and he's like, Arthur Smith, I hope you're looking down on me. I know you're up there putting your dukes up. So he puts his dukes up, slaps his elbow, and he goes for a diving elbow right onto Andy Reid. And as he's falling down, bah! Snuck in the head with a football. What the fuck was that? Patrick Mahomes from the crowd throws a fastball to Raheem Morris, snapping the guy's neck, and he falls lifeless onto the ground. Andy Reid comes back up like the Undertaker, looks down, grabs Raheem Morris, tombstones him onto the ground. The ref comes by. The 1, 2, 3. We have a 12v4 upset in my scenario. Andy Reid, you get to go to the Final Four in my spot. But for Patrick and Bethke, It's up to them. Who advances? I don't know which one of you is going to be the more chaotic of the two. Actually, I do know who's going to be the more chaotic of the two. Bethke.
This is a good
I see you.
choice.
I see you, Pun. I see you.
This is a good choice. So
Going over here.
we have to give a little background here because we've known Andy Reid for a while as being one of the most successful coaches in football. But there was a time when he needed to pay the bills any way he could. So let me take you back to the 90s when he was wrestling under the name Bastion Booger. I might have cut that a little quick, but you get the point.
Rough.
That was the way Andy Reid paid the bills for a while before the Eagles finally saw that tape and knew they had their man.
Forget being an assistant on the Packers. It's the pro wrestling that paid the bills.
It was what happened. But funny enough, Raheem Morris is no stranger to the wrestling world himself. Now, he has not ever been a part of wrestling, but he is cousins with Devon Dudley. But I made it up for this. And here is why that's relevant. Because when Raheem Morris tries to take down this monster himself, he represents the Dudley Boys. I learned a little bit about the Dudley Boys today. There's a lot of Dudleys and a lot of Dudley affiliates. They're like the Wu-Tang of
Wrestling. Yeah.
Of wrestling. So I found that interesting. And Raheem Morris is taking down a heavyweight here, right? An absolute juggernaut of a being. So he can't do it himself. Andy Reid's going to wear him down early. He's going to play with this food a little bit because he knows the size disadvantage. Andy Reid's going to hit him with the signature. He's going to hit him with the, drop the nuts on the face. And as Andy Reid sits there waiting, all of a sudden, the portals start opening up again. And every Dudley variant that's ever existed starts appearing. And the Dudleys ascend on stage and like a team of ants take over Andy Reid and rip him to shreds live on stage.
Wow. It got weird
became
quick.
It became like Celebrity Deathmatch.
Little Rick and Morty in there.
Yeah. Well, the portals are Marvel. I'm more of a Marvel guy than a Rick and Morty guy, but
Well,
yes,
there's
same difference.
like a one-off character named like Million Ants or something, and it's like a consciousness that's body is just like a million ants running around. No need to explain.
A million Dudleys just come out the portals.
So it can get inside someone and expand, and they can explode. That's what I was envisioning there.
I see that. Yes, that's happened on The Boys, the famous Prime show, The Boys.
Infamous scene on that one. All right. Well,
It's
it
my turn.
appears then
Is that to me?
we have a one-to-one.
We have put the ball in Patrick's court, so to speak.
Well, here's the way I'm seeing this go down. We're in the ring. This is a no disqualification match. I actually don't know what that means. I shouldn't say that.
It just means there are no rules.
How do you win?
By pinfall or submission, baby.
Okay.
Or murder.
Or murder. Yeah, and this thing starts off. We get the ring of the bell or however they start these things. And most of the beginning is just kind of Raheem Morris kind of doing circles around Andy Reid, running past him. Andy Reid's trying to get him because that's pretty much the only way he's going to win this fight is getting a hold of Raheem Morris. Morris gets some punches in on the gut. He's getting punches in where, like, if it was a boxing match, he'd be getting points, but they're not really doing anything. And that continues for a good little while until eventually Andy Reid kind of backs him into the corner, picks him up on the ropes into the turnbuckle, and he just starts laying into him, really using that weight, throwing it around. But Morris can get out of that. And, we kind of get this back and forth for a long time. But eventually what it comes down to here is Andy Reid doesn't have the
the energy, the speed. He can't keep up. He can never grab Raheem Morris. And eventually Morris just kind of Floyd Mayweather's him and just kind of, pokes around. And then eventually he's just going to get the win because Reed's going to collapse because he hasn't had a cheeseburger. And he's been trying to wrestle for like
or
an
he's
hour.
had too many cheeseburgers.
We'll see. The thing is, he needs more to bring him back up, but he's been in the ring too long. He's actually never been this long without a cheeseburger since he can remember. And so with nothing,
People think that he's hiding like the play call when he's doing that.
The
He
Waffle House
actually
menu.
is sleight of hand eating a hamburger.
Yeah, so
So-
it kind of ends up with just Raheem Morris gets a few good punches in there, and since Reed's got nothing left, he drops like a stone weight. Reed falls short again, and it looks like
What the
Raheem Morris.
Just off of getting tired. Damn.
I mean, it was hour. I mean, they were in that ring for about an hour of Raheem Morris just
Oh.
running circles around him. And like I said, he'd never been that long without a cheeseburger. Because even in the NFL games, he can get one a quarter at least.
I would just boo the shit out of this match. Raheem
Yeah, it's
Morris,
not-
fight him.
It's not fun. That match somewhat
Tactician's
inspired by
match.
me watching Floyd Mayweather versus Big Show at 2x speed for the last few minutes. Which hilarious to watch. If you've never watched Mayweather versus Big Show, that is awesome.
Kind of forgot that existed.
I never knew it did till today, so I'm gonna go back and watch
Big-
that in real time at some point.
Big Show legitimately took a real punch from Mayweather with the brass knuckles on.
He knuckle dusted him to win. But the funniest part was Big Show grabbed him by the throat and pulled him all the way above the turnbuckle. But I couldn't really have Andy Reid doing that to Raheem Morris because they're not that much different, in height.
It's just the girth.
Yeah, massive girth difference.
If we would have went with the cartoons, I was gonna be more like have like Nightcrawler defeating the Blob.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're just gonna
Oh.
teleport him to hell.
Falcons stay undefeated.
Falcons keep moving on. I
This
mean,
is
they
like,
are.
This is like the IST for the Falcons.
Well,
Hang a banner, baby. If they go back to back, they have to.
Still undefeated.
Do we get rap songs about this yet?
we should. The fuck?
Let's get the two Amigos. Let's get
All right, I'll start
2
working on my
Chainz.
Quavo impression real quick.
What's our Quavo impression? Oh god.
yeah. What's Richie Homie Quan up to?
Not much. I don't think. He does. I think he released a song with Ye recently that wasn't very good. Anyway,
Haven't heard Vultures 2 yet.
Yeah, dude. I'm finally at a point. I stopped. I didn't hear one. Once
I heard-
once the Donda 2 release was as bad as it was, I was like, I'm done, man. I'm out. I'm out.
He what was the there's a song that was 8 seconds long apparently on the album.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I literally don't know
So
anything about
have y'all
it.
heard the whole the laughing gas and the dentist and
Yes,
y'all
I've
caught
heard
up with all that?
this.
I've,
Well,
I've heard. Yeah, it's
I've heard the
a wild
rumors.
story.
It's pretty wild. Yeah, I mean it. I don't know that it justifies all the shitty music, but maybe it helps a little.
Well, and unfortunately, the source is also someone who's accused of doing similar type of behavior regarding Kanye. So it's like I don't even know, man. But
Yeah, celebrities, they love to find the dumbest people in the world to surround themselves
just
with.
waiting on that new JID to someday drop.
Sooner rather than later. But yes, it looks now, gentlemen. Raheem Morris, you have won. I have wasted yet another rewind on a losing.
I don't think has there ever been a successful rewind?
I'd have to go back
I
and look
don't-
at how
I'm not
last
sure.
year's went.
Although,
feel like
you
they've
know,
all failed.
we'll never know because you two are hogging yours.
No, I've used one already, but I think it
Right.
failed.
Well, Patrick, you need to let him rip. All right, you can't just save him.
I'm
at the
pretty
end.
sure I wasted mine on something but
I
You
got
wasted yours on a person that you ended up.
I got
having
two.
lose.
I got two for the last 3 fights. It's gonna be great.
it's fair.
We'll see. Although, like, I'm looking at who we have. we
Yeah,
have
that's
Tomlin,
why I haven't been
Sala.
like none of the fights had seemed to make any sense for me this whole time. Really, that's why I haven't done it. My rewind,
been a
my
perfect
rewind
time.
worked last year when I got Vrabel through over D'Amico Ryans, and then who's orange? Bethke's worked to get Pete Carroll past Mike Vrabel, and that's partly on you also, Caesar. But this is the second year in a row you've put one on Andy Reid and he's lost.
Damn
Nice.
it.
I thought we'd already done that with Andy Reid too.
He
yeah.
lost to McCarthy.
Didn't. That's a real fat man fight right there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next week concludes the Elite Eight as we have D'Amico Ryans up against John Harbaugh.
We're down to 4.
And
Yes,
we will have our final 4. We have one side of the bracket ready again with Mike Tomlin and Robert Saleh ready to get their hands on one another. And then we'll see,
Ayo.
does John Harbaugh become the first real upset of the Elite Eight? Or are we going chalk here and going all fit fellas? We'll see.
Can the
Next
Atlanta
week.
Falcons be stopped?
Can they be stopped? Who knows? They could have been stopped this week. We could have made history. But
No one has asked this question about the Atlanta Falcons in
You know
at
what's
least a decade.
you know what is also really funny is this is Caesar's 3rd rewind overall on Andy Reid because that's his 2nd one this year.
wait, I used my first one on Andy Reid again.
Yeah.
Dude, Eagle fandom is a hard thing. You know what I mean? We make fun of the Cowboy fandom, but the Eagle fandom, they're loyal.
Listen,
They still love Andy
I don't-
Reid.
I don't have any-
They
I don't have
count
any
those
former
Super Bowls that
coaches to do
Kansas
that
City's
for,
getting.
so
I don't know about that one, Chief, but listen, I've learned a lesson now. Don't use my rewinds on Andy Reid because clearly there is an agenda against him on the show.
No, I'm pretty sure I had Andy Reid win one time because his son drunk drove over somebody. So
that is
I-
correct.
That
No one
did
had to
happen.
remember that, but
We tried to forget, but here we are remembering all these horrible things. Okay, well, gentlemen, that does it for this week's NFL segment. Things are wrapping up. Preseason's wrapping up. We're getting closer and closer to the start of America's new favorite pastime.
if you don't love Trey Lance football, then you don't love football.
is he even gonna be on the
Tune in
roster?
next week when we talk about Trey Lance, 6th-round draft picks,
Pray for me trying to get Spurs Mass tickets.
and undrafted free agent talk
Yeah.
across all 32 NFL teams.
Next week, we're going to break down all 82 games for all 30 teams right here.
Mm-hmm.
Next week.
All right. See you guys.
We'll see you next
Oh wait,
time.
wait. I'll just throw it at
What?
the end. Don't worry about it. All right. Bye.
Bye.